Well, perhaps springtime has finally arrived. It is a beautiful night in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. Game 5 of this season, and the Reds trying to go 5-0 for the first time since 1990. And hi again, everybody. Back with the mayor, Sean Casey. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Now, during your great career, you were always known as a smart hitter. You talked about smart hitting a lot during the game last night. What do you mean by smart hitting? Let's look at some of the guys and some of the swings from the win over Houston.
Well, what you were seeing last night, these guys, look at Joey Votto right here, gets a pitch down and away, doesn't try and do too much with it, lines one to left field. Here you got Mike Leake, sees the third baseman back, lays one down, it has great speed, beats it out. Drew Stubbs here lets the ball travel real deep, lines one to right field. It's just great hitting. I don't know if so much smart hitting as it is. You know what? It's great hitting, letting the ball travel, letting it get deep in the zone, and making good decisions.
Well, the Reds' offense is rolling right out of the gate, and of course they led the National League in runs scored a season ago. The pitching has been very good as well. The only hiccup belongs to opening day starter Edinson Volquez. He'll try for a little redemption tonight. The home run ball tonight after allowing 3 on opening day, the first time he had ever started an opening day game, is right-hander Edinson Volquez. We know the stuff is there, Sean Casey.
You know what? He's got the best stuff on the staff. There's no doubt about it. I just think opening day, you know, when you go back and look at Eddie, everything was up. That first one to Ricky Weeks, it's up and out over the plate. No life on it at the end. It kind of flattened the zone. You see right here to Carlos Gomez, same thing. Never really gets that bite in the sinker, stays up in the zone. But, you know, when you're throwing 94, 95 mile an hour, you need that tilt. But this one to Ryan Braun, out over the plate again. When you do that to great hitters in the big leagues like Ryan Braun, he's going to deposit it dead center. So, obviously, Eddie has some of the best stuff in the staff. You know, some of the best stuff in the big leagues. Just needs to make that sinker work for him late in the zone and get some more tilt on it.
And, of course, Edinson Volquez still coming all the way back from that Tommy John surgery. Pitched extremely well in September last year, and he'll look to pitch better in Game 2. That second turn through the rotation. But in the opener, the Reds have been scoring and scoring and scoring. 31 runs in the first 4 games. State Farm agents are there when you need them. Find an agent and get a quote at statefarm.com. By your local Ford dealer. Ford, drive one. By Cincinnati USA. Come for the Reds, stay for the fun. Book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline, whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. Get a look at the Skyline, part of it anyway, downtown Cincinnati on this beautiful spring night. Reds and the Astros in Game 2 of this 3-game series. They'll wrap it up with a 12:35 game tomorrow as the unbeaten home team takes the field. Brad Mills starting lineup as Michael Bourne again leading off in center field. Angel Sanchez at short with Hunter Pence in right. Carlos Lee, the cleanup batter, in left field with Bill Hall at second and Brett Wallace at first. A latter third of Chris Johnson, a third baseman, catcher J.R. Tolles, and on the mound, Nelson Figueroa. He makes his first start of this 2011 year. It's start number 2 for Edinson Volquez. You get a look at the numbers. After coming back from Tommy John surgery, was in the rotation, pitched out of the bullpen, then was sent down to the minor leagues. And Sean, when he came back for the final month, he pitched like the Edinson Volquez who went to the All-Star game and won 17 games 2.5 years ago. Yeah, he pitched great. I mean, right out the gates coming back from the Tommy John surgery, that's not easy to do. But that's why when you look at Edinson Volquez, you know he's got the stuff. You saw it at the end of last year. You know he's healthy. He just needs to make pitches. Let's take a look at the Reds defense, which has committed only 1 error through the first 4 games of the year, presented by Ford. Stubbs in center, Bruce back in the lineup in right. First off day for Johnny Gomes. Chris Heisey got his first start and drove in 3 last night. Roland and Votto on the corners. Giannis and Brandon Phillips back in there after leaving the game early last night. And Ramon Hernandez hanging the signs for Edinson Volquez.
I'll tell you what, you talk about Heisey, Tommy. It's tough to keep this guy out of the lineup. This guy can flat out hit. He can play a little bit. And, you know, he's a great looking young player.
Really is. Reds minor league player of the year 2 years ago. And for a young player, tied a Reds franchise record with 4 pinch hit home runs last season. So here we go. Michael Bourne, the speedy center fielder, digging in. And Edinson delivers strike one. We're underway. Bourne 3 hits in his first 16 at bats, has knocked in a couple of runs. And Volquez quickly ahead at 0-2. Well, naturally, Sean, we've seen it. You've seen it watching the Reds games. When Volquez has good pitch efficiency, he's very hard to beat.
Yep. Well, I think the best pitch in baseball is strike one. And for Eddie tonight, that's going to be a big key to him. Strike one, getting on top of hitters and then making them work.
Reds off to a 4-0 start for the 9th time in modern history. The first time since they won the World Series in 1990. That's when they went, of course, wire to wire. Led from day one and never looked back. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Bourne. Only 3 teams have begun a season 5-0 in modern history for the Reds. 1919, 1980, and there's 1990 again. 2-2 to Bourne.
Well, for all the teams that say, you know, it doesn't matter how you start, you know, this and that, it's the teams that are 0-4, 0-5 or say it's a long year. The teams that are 4-0 like the Reds are saying, hey, this is a great start, good confidence booster for us.
After getting ahead 0-2, here's Volquez now, has run the count full on Michael Bourne. Angel Sanchez to follow, and then the right fielder Hunter Pence. Down the left field line, and that is a foul ball. So Bourne doing his job regardless of the outcome. He's already made Volquez throw 7 pitches in his first at bat.
That's a key. You know, sometimes you look at the stats and that doesn't show up, and he might get out here, but you know, he's already made Eddie throw 7 pitches. I mean, that's big. You get a pitch count up for starters. That's your goal as a team. Your team is to get to the bullpen as quick as you can, make guys work, especially in the first inning, and throw a lot of pitches.
There's a walk. So Volquez lost him after getting ahead 0-2 in the at-bat.
Well, Ramon sets up right there. He almost hits the glove. I mean, looks, this might be the top of the strike zone strike. It is. You know, obviously he's not getting that pitch, but it looked good. But hey, anytime you go 0-2 to a hitter, especially the leadoff guy, and lose him, you know, that's never a good thing. Sometimes, you know, with Eddie's sinker, you just let him, you know, keep filling that zone up and make guys like Michael Bourne put the ball in play.
Where the Red starters one time through the rotation have been nothing shy of spectacular. Coming into the game, Red starters have struck out 21 batters and walked only 4. And they don't have a single home run allowed by the bullpen.
Those are impressive stats right there.
Bourne, one of the best base stealers in the game today. So Volquez will keep an eye on him at first. 1-1 on Sanchez, who knocked in the only 2 Houston runs with a Blute double down the right field line last night.
Yeah, last night Mike leaked through that nice cutter outside. He kind of stayed on and got it off the end of the bat, and his bat went into 48 pieces and got a couple ribbies out of it.
Well, here we are nearly 4 years later, and so many people still debate the deal the Reds made in trading away Josh Hamilton, the reigning American League most valuable player, to bring in Edinson Volquez. When the deal was initially made, heck, who could argue either way? Volquez won 17 games pitched in the All-Star game for the National League. And the following year, of course, midway through the season, shut down with elbow problems. Underwent reconstructive surgery on that right elbow before coming back midway through last season. A little flare into right, and that's going to fall for a hit. So a walk and a single to begin the Houston first inning, and Volquez on the ropes.
Another pitch right here, Tom. It just looks like he got it up in the zone. Sanchez kind of just stays inside the ball right here. Ball's middle in. Does a good job just getting his hands inside the ball, not doing too much, and just shooting it over there to right field. You know, you look down Houston's order, and you don't think there's not a ton of guys that scare you, but these guys right here are probably their big three damage guys. You know, you got Pence, you got Lee, you got Hall. These are the guys. If you're going to control a baseball game, you want to stay away from them coming up with runners in scoring position and runners on base. And, you know, if you can control these three guys throughout the game, that's when you do pretty good.
And really the case in point to back up what you're talking about last night is a breaking ball is inside on Pence. Pence came to the plate 4 times last night. He had 1 base hit. But every time he came up in an inning, there was at least 1 out and no more than 1 man on. For Carlos Lee, he led off an inning 3 times in the game last night. Breaking ball again misses inside, and he went 0 for 4.
That's huge, because these are the guys right here that are paid to drive in those runs. So if you can make it where you have a situation where you keep guys off base when these guys come up, I think that's, especially for this Astros team, they're not so dangerous top to bottom. These 3 guys can do some damage. If you keep guys off base when they come up, you know, that's when you're okay.
2-0 fastball swung on and missed by Pence. 2 balls and a strike. Two on, nobody out. Houston batting here in the top of the first inning. And the 2-1 on Pence is fouled out of play. Another fastball. That one at 94 miles per hour to even the count.
2 nice pitches there. 2-0 gets him fastball away, then comes back in with a heater in. You know, when you look at Hunter Pence setup, it is interesting how much he does choke up on the bat. You don't really see that nowadays in the biggies. But right here at 2-0, you know, he gets Pence obviously with his over aggressiveness, but fastball away. And he comes back right here and pounds the zone in with a little sinker running in on his hand. So that's what he's got to do, is stay out of the middle of that plate up.
2-2 on Pence. Got him swinging on a breaking ball for the first out of the inning. And there you got a glimpse of the stuff you talked about with Volquez.
I mean, there it is. I mean, this curveball is nasty. That's a nice, almost 12-6 drop. But look at the rotation he has on him. It really, you know, hard out of his hand. As a hitter, when you have this kind of rotation, you can see Pence starts to commit, thinking, okay, is that a fastball? Yeah, even though it's 79 miles an hour, the rotation is so hard, and that's when you start to see swings like that from hitters. Nice pitch right there.
Well, now big Carlos Lee. 4 hits in his first 15 at bats on the year with a home run, 4 runs batted in. This guy's been driving in runs for a long time. He looks at a breaking ball, a strike.
You could always almost guarantee, you know, for years and years and years, he's driving in 100. You put it in the books at the end of the season. You know, Carlos Lee is going to be driving in 100 runs.
Bourne began the inning with a walk, went to second on a single by Sanchez. And a fastball misses low and into Lee. 1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, Volquez had all kinds of visa problems in the Dominican and did not arrive at spring training until March the 9th, and those issues continued. Volquez could not pitch in a regular game where fans had to pay to attend. The runners go, got a great jump, and no chance for Hernandez. Boy, it doesn't get any easier than that.
Huge double steal right there. Michael Bourne obviously looked like he picked up something. As soon as he went down, they were off and running. You see Sanchez there on that double steal. You see him look at Bourne. As soon as he sees Bourne take off, he takes off. So it's a good job, too, by Sanchez on the back end of being alert and reading when Bourne was running to third base.
2-1 to count on Lee with 2 runners in scoring position, and there's ball 3. Mike Leake really set the tone in last night's game, retiring Bourne, Sanchez, and Pence 1, 2, 3 in the opening inning. That ball clubbed foul. Of course, on opening day, Volquez allowed home run to the first 2 batters of the season. Ricky Weeks to lead off the game. Carlos Gomez followed the first time the 2 batters led off their team's season with consecutive home runs since Pete Rose and Bobby Tolan with the Reds in 1969 off Don Drysdale. And there's ball 4.
You know, one thing you're seeing right here in this first inning, and you know, hopefully he gets it going, but there's no consistency in the zone. You're seeing Hernandez set up away, and the ball's tailing back in. And you know, Volke really hasn't established that zone in this first inning. He's, you know, just kind of, you know, all over the place, really. He really hasn't established the middle of that zone and letting the ball work for him.
Already 22 pitches thrown in this opening inning by Volquez. The Astros have the bases loaded with only 1 out, and here's Bill Hall. Hall 1 hit in his first 15 at bats with his new team. Coming over from Boston a year ago. It came to the Astros knowing he would get a chance to play every day at second base.
Billy Hall is one of those guys we talked about last night. He had a great year at Boston last year, coming off the bench, got to start a lot with a lot of injuries they had out there in Boston, but really is a, you know, everyday player. And then, you know, coming to Houston, got an opportunity to play every day at second base this year, and you'll see some big numbers from him at the end of the year.
1-0 to Hall with the bases loaded and 1 out. Threw a fastball right by him.
That's what he needs to do right now. Just keep attacking that zone. Let his defense work behind him, attack the zone, and make these guys put the ball in play.
Well, Bill Hall for so many years was that real thorn in the Reds' side. Now, things have quieted down a little bit in the last couple of years, but there was a time they just could not get this guy out. Breaking ball is high, 2 balls and a strike.
I was on a lot of those teams, Tommy, where he just, you know, you see right there 295 with 18 homers and 56 RBIs, a lot of damage numbers. But man, he used to just drive that ball to right center. It seemed like Miller Park, and you know, came up with some big hits against us year in and year out.
Two balls and a strike to Hall with the bases loaded and 1 out. Fouled out of play to even things up. Nearly 4 years ago, Hall had a chance with the bases loaded against Todd Coffey. A grand slam to deep left center field. And that was right smack dab in the middle of Hall, doing all that damage to Cincinnati pitching. Big pitch right here for Volquez. Would prefer to stay away from a 3-2 count. The action pitch on 2-2 coming right now to Bill Hall. Threw it right by him for the second out of the inning.
Well, great job right there. You know, right here, you know, Volquez just is pounding the zone. Right here, he says, you know what? Forget this. Here's 96. Hit it if you can. Well, I think one thing pitchers don't realize as big league hitters, big leaguers are coming to the plate. Listen, if you throw it down the middle with a little bit of life on it, like you saw a little late action there, it's not an easy hit to pitch, not an easy pitch to hit, even if it's right down the middle. I mean, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to square it up. So sometimes you give the hitters too much credit. Hey, if you have 96 and you have it, just pound the strike zone and make them do something with it.
One more out to go. Here's Brett Wallace, and it's ball one low and in. Wallace 2 hits in his first 15 at bats with an RBI. Went 1 for 4 in the game here last night. The next pitch for Edinson will be his 30th pitch in this opening frame. But he's trying to make sure it's a scoreless opening inning.
This is where mentally he just has to say, all right, we just got to make one pitch here, get out of this inning, regardless of the pitch count I'm throwing. Make one pitch here, get Wallace to ground out or pop up and get out of this inning with no runs.
Low, 2 balls and a strike. Well, Tim Hedrick told us a little while ago there is a hearty breeze that has been blowing all day long. I mean, beautiful sunny day, blue skies. But take a look at the flags. Blowing out towards left field. Two 2-1 pitch. 3 balls and a strike.
Sometimes those flags as a player would, you'd think you just could try to get one in the air and get it out of there, and you hit 4 ground balls that night. It's like, I'm 0 for 4 with 4 grounders. Those flags are blowing out like nobody's business, and I can't get in the air.
Happens to guys at Wrigley a lot.
Oh, big time. Oh.
All right, 3-1 on Brett Wallace, and Volquez delivers. Nowhere near the strike zone. He's walked in a run. His 3rd walk of the inning. And you can't blame some of the crowd. A little bit frustrated with Edinson Volquez, Reds opening day starter who certainly has had command issues in the past, and they followed him right into this regular season.
This is when Brian Price just comes out and say, all right, let's settle down here, let's give you a little breather. You know, can't talk about changing your mechanics and all that stuff. Relax. Get back. Let's get back to, getting strike one, filling up the strike zone, and let's get out of this thing with minimal damage.
Base is still loaded. Only 1 hit in the inning for Houston, but they've taken advantage of wildness from Edinson Volquez and 3 walks. And now the 3rd baseman, Chris Johnson. This guy's got a lot of thunder in that bat. Tardy on a fastball.
That's a quality strike right there, Tommy. 95 miles an hour, but down in the zone. Down in the zone. Pounding the bottom half of that strike zone.
Johnson very impressive once he was brought to the big leagues midway through last season. And there's a breaking ball that's driven into left field that'll bring in 2 more. So Johnson with a 2-out 2-run single, and the Astros climbing all over Edinson Volquez. A 3-0 lead here in the 1st inning.
Another pitch right here by Eddie, just kind of leaves it up. It gets down there, but Johnson really hits a nice pitch here. That ball was tailing down. Johnson stays on and is able to drive it to left field.
And he's excited. Astros have had a hard time scoring runs here through the opening week of this season. Eighth man to bat here in the opening inning is catcher J.R. Tolles. He's made 1 other start this year, 1 hit and 4 at bats. Edinson on the brink of nearly a 40-pitch 1st inning. This will be number 37 coming up.
I don't think that's how him and Brian Price mapped it out for the 1st inning to go.
No. They appealed down to first base umpire Jim Reynolds. He says no. Tim Wilkie calling the balls and strikes tonight. Mike DeMuro at second base and Andy Fletcher over at third.
As a hitter, when guys can't command the zone, when they can't command the zone with their breaking stuff, and they can't command the zone with their strikes, with their fastball, then you start eliminating pitches and really looking out over the plate, saying, all right, I'm going to look for that one pitch, one spot. When I get it, I'm going to hit it. And that's where you're seeing a lot of patience from these Astros hitters, and they're getting that one pitch to hit, and they're hitting it.
Broken bat flare into center field. That'll bring in another run. And the Astros lead in the first inning is 4-0. And Dusty Baker pacing around in that dugout, wondering what in the world is going on with his opening day starter. And already they're calling down to the bullpen.
Just like we were saying before, if the pitcher, when you're a hitter and the pitcher doesn't establish that zone, you really start gaining that confidence that, you know, he's not pinpointing, he's not controlling either side of the plate. He's really just controlling, you know, up and out over the plate. And when I get that pitch, I'm going to hit it. And that's what you've really seen. He hasn't really controlled either side of the plate. And he's walked a few guys, and then the pitches that he's thrown out over the plate, they're hitting.
So pitcher, and that's going to be an infield hit for Nelson Figueroa. So just a few short minutes ago, the bases were loaded with one out. Volquez struck out Bill Hall for the second out of the inning, and you thought, well, he might get out of this thing. Unfortunately for him and the Reds, he's still looking for that third out in the first inning. Walked Wallace with the bases loaded. A two-run single given up to Johnson. RBI single by Tolles. Infield hit by Figueroa. And here's a man, Michael Bourne, who started this four-run first inning with a walk.
After getting down 0-2.
Matt Maloney throwing in the Reds bullpen.
Dusty Baker just he wants Volke to get out of this first inning and then give him some innings. You know, give him some innings to save that bullpen. You don't want to go to the bullpen this early in the game ever and burn it for the rest of the series.
Well, for the second time in this first inning, Volquez has gotten ahead of Michael Bourne at 0-2.
Now let's see if he can put him away. I mean, he's been in this situation before, let him off the hook. This time, you know, he needs to find a pitch he can put him away with. See that sinker right there, Tommy? Late in the zone. That ball hung on Bourne's hip. I mean, you can see this is a quality pitch right here. This ball hangs in. As a hitter, you can't pull the trigger. And then it kind of sinks back over the plate. So that's a tough pitch hit. That's a quality strike.
0-2 to count, still on Bourne. And it's just down low.
Well, he wanted that pitch, but, you know, a veteran umpire like Tim Welke, if you're not controlling the strike zone and you get a borderline pitch, he's probably not going to give it to you.
44th pitch of this opening inning coming up for Edinson Volquez. 44 of them. And mercifully, the first inning is over. 3 walks, 4 hits, 4 runs. See if his offense can help him out. Falling behind 4-0. Reds lineup has Drew Stubbs in center, Brandon Phillips at second, Joey Votto at first, Scott Rowland, the third baseman and cleanup hitter, with Jay Bruce in right and Chris Heisey in left. Ramon Hernandez catching, Paul Giannis at short, Edinson Volquez on the mound. The well-traveled Nelson Figueroa takes over. As part of this Houston rotation, they picked him up off the waiver wire from Philadelphia last year, and Sean, he threw the ball very well for this team.
He really did a nice job. You know, the tale of two pitchers here. Volquez is more of a power pitcher, and Figueroa is more of a finesse pitcher. You're going to see a lot of changeups tonight. Loves his changeup in situations and fastball counts. Likes to pitch backwards. But Nelson Figueroa, he's been around for 10 years. Doesn't have a ton of service time because he's kind of been up and down. But he knows how to pitch. He knows how to fill up the strike zone. And sometimes this guy will pitch backwards with that changeup.
36 years old is Nelson Figueroa. And this is his first time to enter a major league season on an active major league roster. That's what Sean was talking about, up and down, and all points in between. And Drew Stubbs looks at a strike.
I talked to him last night at the hotel. We're staying at the same hotel, and we were talking. He just said he's just glad to finally have an opportunity that a team breaking camp, he has an opportunity to get in the rotation and pitch a little bit.
Quickly ahead of Drew Stubbs, perhaps a little bit misleading. He pitched so well against the Reds last September, went 6 2/3 innings, allowed 6 hits and no runs. But that was the day after the Reds clinched the National League Central Division. And of course, a lot of folks remember Dusty Baker basically emptied the bench that game against Figueroa. I mean, give the guy credit, he still got people out.
Oh yeah, but as he should have emptied the bench, and you know, you get that chance to celebrate, you celebrate a little bit, and then you let the guys that come off the bench play the next day.
2-2 to Drew Stubbs. Good start for Drew. 7 hits, 16 at bats with a home run, 3 batted in, a double, a triple. Already a couple of stolen bases. The Reds already leading the National League in virtually every offensive category, as they did last year. And this one in the air to right. A long run for Pence. And that is caught down the right field line. What a nice play by Hunter Pence.
Great. You got to love the way he plays the game. You know he's going to give you this effort, but he gets to the corner here, realizes where he's at, and slides. Hits pretty hard too. He smacks himself pretty good on this slide right here. Nice play right there by Hunter Pence. You know Figueroa likes it. And, that's the kind of effort he's going to need tonight with this Reds offense. The great thing about the Reds being down 4-0. I don't know if that's a great thing, but you know, as a team, we got to score runs anyhow to win, so we might as well score a bunch of them.
Brandon Phillips left the game last night, slid awkwardly into home plate early in the game, and this one down the right field line. Pence going to go chase it again, but he won't get to this one. And Brandon Phillips is going to stop right there, down 4-0 with a 1-out double.
Nice piece of hitting there by Brandon. Got a ball outside over the plate, drove it to right.
Astros on defense, presented by Ford. We know Pence is in right, Bourne in center, Lee in left, Johnson and Wallace again on the corners with Hall and Sanchez up the middle. And J.R. Tolles starts behind the plate. So Humberto Quintero catching last night. Here's Joey Votto. Knocked in his 3rd one of the season with a base hit last night. Votto on base 3 times, drove in a run, scored a couple of runs. Reds the last 2 games alone have scored 20 runs on 29 base hits. The finale against Milwaukee and the opener here against Houston.
I can say with almost 100% certainty, probably not going to be a 0 there all night long.
Well, you're really going out on a limb.
Aren't I, though? What an analyst.
But you look like, sitting next to you when you were making that statement, like you were very deep into thought about
I really
going
was.
out on a limb.
I really had to think about that one. That was a tough one.
2-1 Novato. Good eye there on a pitch just underneath the strike zone. We'll be looking for a pitch to drive here on 3-1. That's a good 3-1 pitch right there by Figueroa.
See, like you see Figueroa, it's nothing overpowering. He's 81-87, little changeup, little slider right there, just a ball, ball inside. But it's just enough. It's just enough late movement where it doesn't have to be 90 miles an hour. That's why Figueroa's been around. He knows how to pitch. He's not going to overpower you, but he's going to pitch in that late in the zone.
3-2 to Votto. Phillips out at second base. And that's back up the middle. Nice play by Sanchez, and he throws Votto out. Was shaded slightly up the middle, and that allowed him to get there.
Nice piece of hit by Votto, but Sanchez, look how he's shading up the middle. Obviously, he's holding Phillips over there at the bag, but shades Votto up the middle, makes a nice play coming over to the second base side to make that throw to first. Sets, plants, throws on the run. Nice play right there by Sanchez.
Rolen 1 of 5 here last night. Knocked in a run with a single and scored a run. Scotty only 3 hits in 16 at bats, but already has 4 runs batted in.
That's one thing about those homers and RBIs, the damage numbers. They can't take those away. Your average is an average for a reason. It goes up and down during the season, but those home runs and RBIs keep going up or stay right there.
Fastball up and in. 1-1 to Rolen. This season opening homestand comes to an end tomorrow afternoon, 12:35 game, and we mentioned tickets are available before the Reds hit the road to Arizona and San Diego. The Diamondbacks beat the Cubs to avoid a series sweep at Wrigley Field earlier today. 6-4 the final there. The Cardinals lost again. The Pirates,
surprising. Clint Hurdle out the gates,
playing very well. 3-1 Pittsburgh win. Easier time of it for Pence, and the inning is over. Reds get a hit, leave a runner at third. End of 1. Houston in front, 4-0. Storylines are brought to you by Elk & Elk. Take a look at the offenses. You never know it through 1 inning so far tonight. The Reds leading, as we mentioned, in virtually everything, averaging nearly 8 runs a game. The Astros ranking near the bottom. But today's a new day, and the Astros in front 4-0. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio.
I think a big thing for the Houston offense tonight, though, has been walks. And getting on base and then really capitalizing on having those runners on there.
3 walks if you're just joining us in the opening inning by Edinson Volquez, and it started with the very first batter of the game. When, as Sean mentioned, he got ahead of Michael Bourne 0-2, and Bourne wound up walking and scored the first of those 4 first-inning runs. He's fallen behind a leadoff man here in the second inning. Angel Sanchez, 2-0.
Just seems like he's having trouble. I don't know if, I'm obviously not a pitching coach, but just repeating his mechanics or whatever. His balls, some are up, some are down. It's just he's not really controlling the strike zone right now.
3-0.
You talk to pitchers on the days they can't find the strike zone, they just say, I just can't find it. I can't figure out, what it is, what the release point is supposed to be, or what I need to do to throw a strike, and you just can't find the zone. And Volquez is having that problem tonight.
Well, this won't be a long leash on Volquez tonight. A 4-pitch walk right out of the dugout to begin the second inning. Matt Maloney was up in the first inning. Of course, Maloney almost exclusively has been a starter throughout his entire minor league and major league career. Early in his career, immaturity was a big problem for Edinson Volquez, and the Texas Rangers farm system, where he was originally coming up, they decided to put in some very serious policies to try and address any immature issues. And the man who really was directly responsible was a fellow named Mike Anderson, who used to play in the Reds minor league system many years ago. He's now a scout at the major league level, still with the Rangers. One of the primary problems was Volquez's tendency to mope a little bit on the mound during games. Trips from the mound seemed to take forever. And the Rangers realized we've got a very talented young man, and so they invoked their own version, if you will, of a little bit of tough love on Edinson Volquez. 1-2 to count. They included running on and off the field. He had to do it in 12 seconds. Had to beat the second baseman to the dugout after innings. Wasn't allowed to talk to anybody in the dugout except for the catcher, the manager, or the pitching coach on the days he pitched.
Right.
And so they had a lot of things that were going on to make sure that Volquez was able to grow up a little bit as a very young man. Swing and a miss, and there's strike 3. Or no, it hit the ground before it entered the mid of Hernandez.
He's had a nice pitch sequence here. First pitch, changeup. He's got another one on the curveball, and then another changeup here. He can't find the strike zone right now with his fastball. And as a pitcher, you got to start going to your secondary pitches and trying to find the zone. And this at bat, at least against Pence, he's throwing some good secondary off-speed pitches for strikes.
Of course, you saw there on the replay that Pence never made contact with the ball. That's what Ramon Hernandez was saying. Hernandez knew it hit the dirt. As there's strike 3 called to Pence anyway, so he's out of there.
Yeah, I thought that was strike 3 anyhow. He swung and didn't even hit the ball.
That's what I mean, yeah. I think the umpire said he tipped it.
Yeah. Nice pitch right there. I mean, you go back to it. Sometimes you just got to get that feel. It feels like he got the feel with the changeup and the breaking ball, and he says, all right, here comes that fastball. But look where it's located, Tommy. Outside, down and away, just a nice pitcher's pitch, something that Pence just couldn't pull the trigger on.
Now Carlos Lee, who walked and scored in the 4-run first. 1 on, 1 out. We're only in the second inning. Of course, the Reds on opening day trailed the entire game until the 3-run game-ending home run off the bat of Ramon Hernandez. Since that home run, going into play tonight, Dusty Baker's Reds have only trailed for a grand total of an inning and a half. And that was for the first inning and a half on Sunday to Milwaukee. They've fallen behind right from the get-go here tonight, 4-0.
This is a situation right here where Volquez mentally just has to say, okay, I gave up a 4 spot in the first. You know, you talked about before his immaturity years ago in the minor leagues. He's got the experience he has now. He has to say, okay, listen, I got to go out, keep my team in the game. We got a good enough offense where if I can keep it at 4 runs, these guys can put some runs on the board for me.
Which, in his defense, is exactly what happened on opening day. I mean, the first couple of innings were mighty rough. Heck, the first couple of batters. We've talked about that already. Gave up home runs. Volquez was behind in the game 4-0. After the first 2 innings, he only allowed 1 more run over the next 4 innings. So he got it together.
That's what they need him to do. Exactly. Okay, you gave up 4. It's over with. Keep us in the ball game. Get us 2, 3, 4. Get us to the 5th inning. Let us stay close that we can score runs. This team is built to score runs offensively. So if you can keep him in the game as a starting pitcher, you got a good shot to win.
Hit a ton down the left field line, but that ball is hooking foul, and a good thing. Well, you go back to even the playoff start last year in Game 1 and the first 2 starts of this year, and Volquez has given up at least 4 runs in the first 2 innings of now 3 starts in a row. So a slow starter. Boy, then you see at bats like that one against Lee, the one before it against Hunter Pence, and you say, wow.
I mean, he has that kind of stuff, Tommy. Here's that changeup right here. Look at that rotation. You know, as a hitter, especially 1-2 right there, he just had a ball middle in that he crushed to left field. But right here, look at that swing. You can tell by the swing of how nasty the pitch was. That's a nasty changeup with fastball rotation. As a hitter, it looks like it's coming in there as a fastball and just leaves you.
Our Performance Honda Exmo camera bringing you those gorgeous shots of that swing and a miss by Lee. So 2 away, runner at first, and here's Bill Hall. Strike 1. Reds one of 3 unbeatens remaining in Major League Baseball. The Texas Rangers went to 6-0. with a win earlier today against Seattle. 6-0 for the defending American League champs.
You think they're sending a message?
Wow. There's another team, boy. You look at that lineup. That is one scary group.
Big time. I mean, we talked about Josh Hamilton earlier. Obviously, MVP, one of the best players in baseball. But Nelson Cruz, crushing balls. Ian Kinsler, Michael Young. I mean, you just go down to Adrian Beltre. Right. They just. Oh, by the way, we'll add him into the mix if you don't mind. I mean, that's murderer's row there. Those guys can flat out hit.
0-2 on Hall. And a balk is called on Edinson Volquez. Home-plate umpire Tim Wilkie jumped all over it.
It's like he just spun with his lower half and didn't step towards first base.
Sanchez now in scoring position with 2 outs. But an 0-2 count on Bill Hall. We'll do it again. Every out recorded in this game by Volquez has been a strikeout. 5 strikeouts, 4 walks, 4 hits, and 4 runs.
Big number right here too is that 61 pitches. We're not even out of the second yet. He's thrown 61 pitches. He has gotten pretty nasty this inning though, Tommy. I mean, obviously the Hunter Pence and Carlos Lee throwing some pretty nasty pitches, and now he's got Billy Hall here 0-2.
Struck him out swinging. So after the leadoff walk, pretty impressive work by Bullpen. We'll see if the bats can get warmed up, trailing by 4. Now for a live in-game chat, and you can also check out the latest NFL mock draft. It's only on FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. Well, you get a look at Edinson Volquez and how he has fared compared to the rest of the Reds starting rotation. And you're talking about 3 other guys that have gotten starts so far this year: Travis Wood, Bronson Arroyo, and then Mike Leake here last night. Look at the strikeout to walk ratio. 6 walks, 11 strikeouts. 16 strikeouts, 2 walks for the other 3. Long way to go in this one. Reds are down 4-0. But they bat here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Jay Bruce, Chris Heisey, and Ramon Hernandez. One thing you notice right away about Figueroa, after all the years at the big league level when he's gotten a chance, primarily has worked out of the bullpen until the end of last year, so he pitches all the time out of the stretch position. Into right field, a base hit by Jay. Good way to get it started.
Nice job by Jay Bruce right here. Gets into a hitter's count, 3-1. Knows that fastball is coming. Gets right in his wheelhouse. Right in his bread and butter, middle in. Nice piece of hitting. I mean, you got to love Jay Bruce's swing. So much torque, so much power through the zone. But it's always good too. Your first time up, seeing some pitches. He goes 3-1. He sees a bunch of pitches, gets that pitch middle in to hit, gets in a good hitter's counts and hits it. You know what? When you have a bat like that, first time up, Tommy, it sets you up for the whole game. You've seen a changeup, you've seen a fastball, and then you get a hit to boot.
Now Heisey in his first start drove in 3 runs, fooled there by a breaking ball, and of course not necessarily the conventional way to knock in 3 in a game. Had a bases loaded walk, was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded, and then had a run scoring single in the 4th inning. The only out he made was a rocket on a diving play by Hunter Pence in right.
But whenever you're driving runs, it doesn't matter if you get hit in the head, the knee, the head, whatever, walk, whatever it takes to get those runs in, you'll take it. When you get to first base, it doesn't feel as bad when a ribby comes walking down. 1-1 to Heisey. A roller foul. You know, one thing I like about Heisey's swing is if you watch him, talking to him in spring training even last year, but watch his first step. He kind of taps, and then he taps again. It's a little unorthodox, but what it does is, I was talking to Brooke Jacoby today, what he says is it really sets up his timing. He taps down to get his foot down early, then he loads. So if you watch Chris Heisey, it's a little different, but it works for him, and it lets him get in good hitting position. Tap, and then goes. One thing, too, Tom, about this guy, that ball jumps off his bat.
Yeah.
Really jumps. You see right here what I was talking about. He taps to get started. Now he loads. You know, most guys just tap to load. He taps once, gets his foot down, and gets going. It's really, you know, a starting mechanism for him to get things going for his timing.
2-2 the count on Heisey, and it's popped up. Behind the first base bag, Hall crossing into foul ground, one away. Now, you were a guy all the time. It didn't necessarily happen when you were in the box, but before you got in the box, you were always picking up that right foot up and down.
Yeah.
Now, was that a nervous thing, or was that something
I don't know.
to get you ready?
Well, you know what? It became something to get me ready, but initially it was, you know, it was my back leg. I was picking my back leg up. It was really to pop my hip. I started off in the minor leagues. I always felt like I had a tight hip, and I'd pick it up, pop it. And then it really became part of my routine, you know, doing the gloves and stretching my hamstring. And I was like, even I was like, what am I doing up here? But I just couldn't stop doing it because it was just more of a comfort zone for me. I had to do it.
Well, you did all right.
Yeah, it worked out all right.
Yeah, it did. It worked out just fine. Sean Casey with us last night, tonight, and tomorrow. Be joining us for 15 games on Reds baseball here on Fox Sports Ohio. That one's shot into right field by Hernandez. Will send Jay Bruce on to third. They're on the corners with one out. That's 5 for his first 10 for Ramon Hernandez.
Impressive. Another one, like just like he did open day, gets that ball away, lets it travel, drives it the other way. When you hit an outside pitch, you just got to let the ball travel. You see here, look how deep in the zone he catches that ball and rockets it to right field. Jay Bruce gets a good read on it. Obviously knows where Wallace is, knows where Pence is, knows he can get to third base. Nice piece of base running right there too. But great piece of hitting by Ramon Hernandez. And you know, that Brooke Jacoby has to get some credit for these guys really using this whole field. I mean, they're really these first few games of the year going line to line.
Paul Giannis, look out! Fastball high and tight.
Whoa. That'll wake you up for your first at bat. I made Paulie want to get out of the way. Luckily, he was 85. He was allowed to he had time to get out of the way.
Giannis 5 for his first 13. Has a double, has an RBI, and ahead to count now 2-0. Volquez is standing in the on-deck circle. Now, in the very first inning, Matt Maloney was up and throwing. But he never got up in the second inning, even after a leadoff walk. Two-0 breaking ball is fouled away by Paul Giannis. It's a big at bat right here for Giannis, trying to get the Reds on the board after falling behind in the first inning 4-0. He's worked himself into a good count, 3-1.
Interesting to see how he attacks Giannis right here, obviously, especially with the pitcher on deck.
Bouncing ball, and that's into left field. A base hit and RBI for Giannis, scoring Jay Bruce. And it's a 4-1 game, and they're going to allow Edinson Volquez to bat.
Got 3-1, got another breaking ball out over the plate. Just out over the plate enough where Paul was able to get his arms extended and get it through that left side. See how he reaches out right here and really gets it really out in front of the plate. He gets him a little bit up there off the end of the bat, but enough to really where he can chop it through that left side.
Well, you can understand this move by Dusty Baker. I mean, the way the Reds have been scoring runs all of last year, averaging almost 8 runs a game this year. You're only in the 2nd inning.
Yep.
And so he's figuring, hey, look, we think we got a chance to score a lot more than 4 when all is said and done. So he lets Volquez back in the 2nd inning. And he puts down a bunt. It's not a good one. And that's going to be a double play. Boy, oh boy. Been a tough start tonight for Edinson Volquez.
Pitched for 6 months. I forgot what pitching was like, so I mean, I needed those 5-6 outings to get to where I am now. And I mean, today wasn't perfect, but I mean, it was a step in the right direction, and I look forward to the next outing.
Our Geico direct quote from last night's starter and winner, Mike Leake. Mighty good. 3 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, only 2 walks in 6 innings.
Talk about filling up the strike zone. I mean, he really filled up the strike zone and was never out over the plate, Tommy. I think that's why you saw Mike Leake last night have so much success. Really using that cutter to both sides of the plate, using his sinker to both sides of the plate, and really controlling it late. We talked about that late movement he has. That's why he's so effective. You know, some comparisons, said he's a poor man's Greg Maddux. Well, why? Because Maddux had that late movement, late in the zone, last couple feet. And that's what Mike Leake was doing last night, really getting hitters off balance with that late movement in the zone. Great job last night by Mike Leake.
And make no mistake about it, he might be babyface and have those Southern California good looks about him. But he is as fierce a competitor as the Reds have on this team, pitcher or player. And I mean, look, Mike Leake is no dummy. He knows that Johnny Cueto and Homer Bailey both beginning the year on the disabled list, which probably allowed him to begin this year in the starting rotation. He wants to stay there, keep that job. I got to believe he never wants to spend a single day of his career in minor league baseball. He's not been there yet.
And he's proven he's a legit big league pitcher. Look at his first half last year, the great numbers he put up. Listen, if I'm Mike Leake and I know the stuff that I have and that I've already had success at this level, I want to stay here for a long time and never go back to the minor leagues. Never go to the minor leagues.
Isn't that amazing?
He's never been there.
When you think about it.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
I mean, if he were to be able to accomplish that goal.
It would be unbelievable. Yep. Very rare.
All right, here we go into third. Houston leading 4-1. At 6, 7, 8 in the batting order, Brett Wallace, Chris Johnson, J.R. Tolles. Volquez allowed all 4 runs, 4 hits, 3 of his walks in the first inning. Walked a batter to begin the second inning, then struck out 3 straight hitters. So perhaps he can settle into a little bit of a groove and give his offense a chance to get right back at him. Bouncing ball down to Votto. And he'll feed Volquez. That's the first out recorded by Volquez. It wasn't a strikeout. Well, get ready for Reds action each and every game. 30 minutes before with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. We'll be with you on the road after our telecast tomorrow, an afternoon game, and will come your way from Chase Field on Friday night, the Arizona Diamondbacks home opener. Be a big crowd on that hand for that one. That's a beautiful ballpark they have out there in Arizona, especially this time of year, Sean, when that roof is open. Spectacular.
And you know firsthand, Tommy. I mean, you were out there for all those years. I mean, it's beautiful.
It really is.
You know, especially the nights there where you get that nice air and it gets a little cooler. That's a great place to play. That's a fun place to play.
Of course, you were on hand for really one of the most remarkable games in the history of baseball, when Randy Johnson struck out 20 batters in a game and did not get the win.
Yeah, Chris Reisman battled them pitch for pitch all night long. It was a pitcher's duel, but I was so glad, and I'm still blessed to this day, that Bob Boone started Juan Castro at first base, because I was just watching Randy Johnson mow us down one after another, and I was thinking, boy, this is a great game to be sitting out. It's worked out good for me.
2-0 to count on Johnson. Broken bat. Giannis throws out Johnson, 2 away. Well, after the road trip, Reds right back against the Pirates, and on Saturday, April the 16th. Stick around after the game for a free post-game faith concert featuring Grammy-nominated artist Jeremy Camp, presented by Presco. And the first 20,000 fans at that game on April 16th get a 2011 team calendar. 381 Reds, or log on to Reds.com for tickets to every game here at Great American Ballpark. Much bigger crowd tonight than we had here last night. Much better weather today than we had yesterday. Well, here was that night in the desert. 20 strikeouts for Randy Johnson.
Dion
became only the third pitcher in history to strike out that many batters in a game, joining Roger Clemens and Kerry Wood. Rolling, perfect throw, inning over. Good looking inning there for Volquez. Short and sweet. Top of the order coming up. It's a Toyota sign during our game tonight. Ralph Boyes of Burlington, Kentucky, who currently owns a 2006 Sienna, will win that beautiful new Tundra on display every day here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer.
So if someone hits that, they get that car?
The sign right there between the PNC power stacks out there in right center field is where the Toyota sign. If they hit it, a fan wins it. How about that?
I was going to say, Votto might have about 4 or 5 cars by now if you can hit that sign.
Well, he came the closest last year. He kicked a field goal right between those power stacks. Top of the order. We used to hit him out there.
Oh, that's where I used to hit him at routinely in BP.
Tapper down to third. 1 out. Reds down 4-1 as they bat here in the bottom of the third.
Jeez.
Look at that.
That's a long way right there.
Yep, field goal indeed.
Does that mean you have a lot of power if you can hit that far? I mean, that's legit.
I would think so. Of course, the ones that boggle the mind with Votto are those to left center field.
Oh, and it looks like a power hitting righty hit him. He drives to left center.
Phillips doubled down the right field line in the first inning and was stranded at third.
Last night we got a little scared of Brandon Phillips saying he was cramping up or whatever, or couldn't get a breath from his side. And glad it was only that, not something serious that could have kept him out of a few games.
No question about that. You know, you look at all the talent on this Reds team, and certainly an argument could be made that Phillips might be the most irreplaceable player on the team.
I totally agree with that. I mean, you win up the middle defensively. He's one of the best second basemen in the game. Obviously hits for average, hits for power, drives in runs, has speed. I mean, he's a guy that makes things happen in this lineup.
And he draws a walk. Landed on for the second time in as many plate appearances. Time now for tonight's text poll brought to you by Progressive. Who do you think will lead the Reds in home runs at the end of the year? 1, Joey Votto. 2, Jay Bruce. 3, Johnny Gomes. Text your answer to 37664. Standard texting rate supply. Where you vote?
It's going to be close, but I think it's going to be Jay Bruce.
Do you really?
I just think he's got this is going to be a big year for Jay Bruce. He's got that light tower power. He's got that textbook swing for this park, and he hits them in bunches. I think this is the year he leads the team.
Wow! All right.
Quote me on it, Tommy.
Believe me, I'm going to hold you to it. We see you later this season.
I think Votto will be right one behind.
And Gomes 2 back.
It goes with 2 back.
Brandon, 1 stolen base in his only attempt. That was in the first inning of last night's game. Fastball away to Joey, 1-1. He had a hit taken away on a nice play up the middle by Sanchez. Joey Votto running away from the field.
Wow.
But I give Mr. Casey some props for going out on a limb. Sanchez not going to get to that one. And Phillips making a turn. He's coming to third. And here comes a slide, and boy, is that aggressive base running.
Great job of base running right there by Brandon Phillips. Great piece of hitting by Joey Votto. Obviously gets a pitch. Same thing we were talking about last night. Doesn't try to do too much. Goes back up the middle with a line drive. Just a nice piece of hitting. But you got to love Brandon Phillips right here making this read. It looked like Michael Bourne didn't really come up throwing, and you know, BP just kind of ran right in his face, and you know, that you got to do that sometimes. Bourne comes up right here. We can't really see what Bourne did, but it looked like Phillips kind of, you know, deked him a little bit. It looked like he was going to stop at second base, and it looked like Bourne let up a little bit coming in on it, and Brandon ran right in his face. Nice piece of running.
The only team that went first to third with more frequency last year, the Texas Rangers. There's another staple about this Reds team. We talked about the team that's been put together here in Cincinnati. And in every facet of the game, they are very good. Very, very good in some categories. Base running, exceptional. And Rowland drives it to the left center field gap. Phillips will score. It's bobbled by Bourne. Votto will score, and here come the Redlegs.
Well, we talked about it before. We said it's probably not going to be 0 for long. It wasn't for long. Not when you got this kind of offense. Brandon Phillips gets on with a walk. Joey Votto hits a rocket single up the middle. And then Scotty Rowland gets a pitch out over the plate. He ends up depositing in the left center gap. Nice piece of hitting, but a nice sequence with this offense right there. Of Phillips getting on, Votto up the middle, and Scotty Rowland driving them all in.
We talked about Rowland, only 4 hits to begin this year, but tack on 2 more RBIs. That gives him a club best 6. And here's Jay Bruce with a tying run at second. And back up through the middle. Tough play. Hall gets to it. Thrown out in time.
Good hustle down the line right there by Jake. You know what? You got to love the way this team plays the game. They play it right. You see Brandon Phillips go to third base. Jay Bruce hits one up the middle, has the speed out the box. He's saying, hey, listen, I know Hall might get to it, but I'm out the box hustling hard, and gets right out the gates. Here he goes. You can smell that hit too. See, for me, I was out by 10 feet here. Jay Bruce, he's safe for 12 feet. He's safe at first base, but you got to love it. Top to bottom, this team plays the game right. They take Dusty Baker's personality, the way he played the game, and it translates onto the field. It's a fun team to watch.
Now Heisey with a chance to bring in the tying run at third with only 1 out. Go ahead run is Jay Bruce at first base. Swing and a miss. It's a second at bat in a row where that first pitch to Heisey ran up and in on him. He had sort of a funny looking swing on him.
Funny looking hack, yeah. I think sometimes as a hitter you make up your mind first and third. All right, you can get a little over anxious. You're trying to get that fly ball to the outfield. And, Heisey needs to find that pitch down the zone he can drive out there.
Check swing roller, but it'll bring in the run. And the runner is safe. We're tied at 4.
They keep putting pressure on that defense. Keep putting pressure on the defense with how they're playing the game. Heisey right there gets a little Jam Johnson out there, but he's hustling at first base. Figueroa can't field it cleanly. Heisey's busting it down the line just enough where Wallace can't get a grip on it, and he's safe. It just keeps this inning going. That's another RBI right there. We were talking about last night how Heisey got 1 RBI with a walk, got an RBI with a hit by pitch, and now he gets an RBI with almost hit his finger. RBI.
It scored an error, but Heisey will get a run batted in. Brad Arnsberg, the Houston pitching coach, joined by his battery and the entire Astros infield. Reds fell behind 4-0 in the first inning. They got 1 in the second, 3 to tie, and still batting in the third.
You know what? We talked about it before, Tommy. Volquez struggled with that first inning. Not great in the second inning, but got a 0. Comes down the third, gets a 1-2-3 inning. Keep this team in the game. You keep a team like the Reds are assembled in the game with this kind of offense, they're going to put you up runs. Well, look what we got here. Bottom of the third inning, we got a tie score at 4-4.
We'll look at the pitch count for Figueroa. Now he faces Hernandez, who singled into right field his first time up. Runners take off, throw down to third, and it slipped out of the catcher's hand and goes into the dugout. And the Reds have taken the lead. That is vintage Roger Craig. Dusty Baker learned from Roger Craig after a little chaos on the field, that play by Figueroa and a meeting on the mound. The very next pitch, you put runners in motion.
It's a great job by Dusty Baker right there, making something happen. They gets a double steal going. I think Toles comes up, ends up hitting Hernandez's bat right here. Look right there, it ends up hitting his bat. Ooh. Hey, Hernandez did the right thing. He stayed in the box, didn't move out of the way. Toles has to make the adjustment right there, but great job by Dusty Baker getting these guys in motion, making things happen. Like you said, Tommy, there's already a little chaos going on. Orangeburg comes out, they get a meeting at the mound, and what does Bake do? He says, okay, we're going to mess up that meeting you just had. We're going to put a little wrinkle into it and get these guys rolling, get them in motion, and make something happen.
That'll be a stolen base and then a throwing error on the catcher, allowing the run to score. And Hernandez pops up the pitch in a shallow center. Bill Hall to call the catch. That's a big out right there for Houston. 2 away for Paul Janisch.
Got it a little out front up on that changeup right there. Pitch was down, just wasn't able to pull it off the ground and drive it out there.
I'm sure Dusty will talk about, and I would imagine would say the name Roger Craig when this game is over, when asked about that particular play. If it turns out to be a big play in a game, you never know how the rest of this one will go, the way we're getting started here tonight. But Bob Brenly, who I worked with for many, many years, played alongside Dusty. And then Dusty, a coach for Roger Craig. And that was something he was a huge believer in. Whenever the other team is on their heels a little bit, something's happening on the field that's out of the norm, like that play by Figueroa. Throw to first, he's laying on the ground, pitching coach comes out. The very next play, if you're in a spot to try to do something that you normally might not do, catch them on their heels a little bit. It's good stuff.
And that's why Dusty Baker's has been one of the greatest managers, you know, in the history of the game since he's been out there, because he's taken all those lessons from the guys like Roger Craig and people that he's been on the bench with. You take all those experience. You can't teach experience. You see great managers, and you know what you say, when I get that job, I'm going to take that with me. I'm going to take that little bit of Roger Craig and do what he did and make it work for me. And that's what Bake's done here in Cincinnati. He did it in Chicago, and he did it in San Francisco.
1-2 on Paul Janisch, and it's fouled back out of play. So the Reds have come all the way back from 4-0 and have taken a 1-run lead here in the last of the third inning. And there's a base hit by Janisch to bring in another run.
Another nice piece of hitting by Janisch. Hey, this is the year he gets a chance to go out there and play every day, and he's making the most of it. He's swinging the bat better. Nice piece of hitting right here. He stays back right here. You see his backside. That's a tough pitch right there. That's down. That's a changeup down. But what does he do? He keeps his hands going through the baseball, through the zone, ends up driving it up the middle. Right there, that's a pitch sometimes, Tommy, that, you know, the pitcher's trying to get you to roll that pitch over. Well, if you have that nice bat path like Paul Janisch did right there, he stayed on it, stayed through it, was able to shoot it up the middle.
And I'm sure there are a lot of Astro fans wondering about that decision from Brad Mills. I mean, you've already given up 5 runs in the inning. You had the pitcher who was going to bat coming up next. They weren't going to take Volquez out of this game. And you pitch to the number 8 hitter with a runner at third and 2 men out in the inning, and he makes you pay by tacking on another run with a hit.
Yeah, you know, you do have to question that. You got Volquez coming up. It's already been a big inning here. And that's the one guy you think you can definitely get him out and shut down this inning.
And they get him out. But 9 men bat, 5 score. The Reds lead 6-4 at the end of 3. Proudly serving America's restaurants, schools, retailers, and our military around the world. JTM Food Group. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Hey, a great program being put together by the Reds and the Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. They're encouraging all fans to help the victims of Japan's earthquake and tsunami during a one-day fundraising event this Saturday, April the 9th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. For a minimum $10 donation at one of 6 Toyota dealers, fans can receive 2 view-level tickets to the Monday, April 18th game against the Pirates. That's here at Great American Ballpark. So for $10, you'll get 2 tickets to a ball game, and your money will be going to a great cause. If you give more than that in increments of $10, you're certainly eligible to receive additional sets of tickets. So we invite you to stop by a local Toyota dealer this Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Giannis far to his left, the pirouette and the throw, and what a play by Giannis.
Nice play right there. Obviously comes up with a big hit inning before. Look at the range he's got to up the middle. He gets it, sets his feet, keeps going, and keeps his momentum going towards the outfield, and makes a nice spin throw. Nice play here by Paulie.
Well, you brought up last night this young man getting a chance to start at shortstop, and many who have seen him very much believe that, you know, if you just based it on pure defense, that he would be a legitimate Gold Glove contender at shortstop in the National League this year. I know in your MLB Network highlight show you're going to see a lot of that from Giannis.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. We've already seen it. I've already seen it the last couple nights. We've seen it, 5 games into the year. We've seen, a human highlight reel. But, we all knew Paul Giannis can pick it. And that's the thing. When he first came up a couple years ago, they said, oh, this guy plays great defense. But you know what? He can swing the bat a little bit, too. When you talk to Paul, I was talking to Paul earlier today, he feels like, hey, he's a good hitter, too. Don't just label me as a good defensive player. I can swing the bat a little bit, too. And he's shown that so far, Tommy.
Yes, he has. He's off to a very good start with the bat as Giannis. Already with 2 hits tonight and RBI, 7 for his first 15. That is a fair ball. And it hits. It's still a live ball. It's in play if it hits the bat boy down there. And so that's a 2-base hit for Micah Bourne. Time to take a look at our AT&T trivia question. Who was the last second baseman to lead the National League in home runs and RBIs in a season? We bring that up because Ricky Weeks of the Brewers right now leads the National League in home runs. And Neil Walker from your hometown, Pittsburgh, PA, hit another big home run today for the Bucks. Leads the league in RBIs.
Had a big grand slam opening day. Neil Walker's. And he's from Pittsburgh, too. That's why they really love him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they wondered if he was going to be the guy. And he's played well, better and better every year, right?
Yep. They went out and Aki Iwamura.
Right.
Now they got Iwamura, and they thought, okay, we'll put Iwamura there. When Neil Walker just was hitting 330 down in AAA, and they decided, all right, we'll bring him up. And then he ended up hitting, 313 up in the big league. So this kid can play. He's a great kid. He's from Pittsburgh, and like you have here. You had your Barry Larkin from Cincinnati. You love, these cities love their own kind of players, and Neil Walker is a fan favorite there in Pittsburgh.
Angel Sanchez has not been retired by Volquez tonight. It's 2-0. Volquez threw 44 pitches in the first inning, 18 in the second, 9 pitches in a 1-2-3 third. So he's right at the 80 pitch mark here in the 4th inning. But his team has come all the way back and put 6 runs on the board.
After that first inning, Volquez really has started to settle in. throwing his secondary pitches for strikes, especially that changeup, starting a lot of guys off with it, throwing it for a strike, and also starting to pump the strike zone with that fastball for strikes too. Whatever Brian Price said to him out on the mound or between innings has really worked.
Two and one to Sanchez. Breaking ball and a beauty by Edinson to even the count.
There it is again, as we were saying before. He wasn't doing this in the first inning. Getting the breaking ball over for strikes, getting that changeup over for strikes, really having trouble locating his fastball too. But he's starting to get that, really be able to repeat his mechanics. And get
Moses talked about commandments.
repeat the 10 commandments. Say he's doing out there.
He's a pitch in the dirt 3-2. You may have heard of him. He was a pretty good player.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. Didn't he part the sea?
Yes,
the Red Sea?
Yes, he did.
I bet you he had a great fastball.
Yeah. 3-2 the count. It's a big batter right here for Volquez. Sean has talked about the big hitters coming up, starting next with Hunter Pence. Want to keep Sanchez off the base paths, and he can't do it. Guy's been on base 3 times tonight. So is Michael Bourne. Bourne twice, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, you watch Volquez in that 3rd inning when he was able to pitch out of the windup. The 3 straight batters really had some nasty pitches, really filling up the strike zone. The times that he's been in trouble tonight and hasn't been able to locate so much is when he's been out of the stretch.
Now Hunter Pence, who has struck out twice, once swinging, the other time looking. 2 on, 1 out, Reds leading by a pair. Good breaking ball there for a strike.
Good action right there on that changeup. Really, downward sinking action late.
He's throwing him curveball changeup to begin the at bat to get ahead 0-2. Off-speed pitch that bounced up there and blocked nicely by Ramon Hernandez, keeping the runners from advancing. 1-2 the count on Pence. Four straight off-speed pitches in this at-bat to Pence. Of course, the last time the Astros had this duo at first and second out on the base pass right now, they pulled off the double steal in the 1st inning. And you better watch him again. The trail runner has a huge lead with Votto playing behind him. Phillips moving around trying to keep Bourne closer at second. They throw to first. Now they have the runner to run down. And the runner never breaks from third, and they get the double play.
Great play right there.
It's all Brandon Phillips, right?
All Brandon Phillips right there. Great job. Watch this right here. This is Brandon Phillips knowing the game. This is why it's gold. He gets Sanchez to commit back to first base, throws it to get Votto. And what does Votto do? Votto does a great job too. So Phillips really runs this play. Watch. He knows the situation. Okay, we got one out. I'm going to get Sanchez. He commits back. Bam, we get Pence at first. What does Votto do? He stares down Bourne, freezes him at third base. One throw to Giannis and a tag, and they're out of the inning. You work on it in spring training. You work on that play where you're trying to freeze that runner at third base and get that out. Great play right there, but Brandon Phillips makes that play happen. Just a heads up, knowing what he's doing and knowing how to play the game of baseball.
Top of the order for the second straight inning. Drew Stubbs tonight 0 for 2 is line to right and bounced out to third. Reds leading 6-4. They were behind before they ever came to the plate tonight. 4-0. They got one run back in the second and a 5 spot in the third. Stubbs out of there, foul tipped into the mid of Tolles. Time to answer our Aflac trivia question, or the AT&T trivia question, I beg your pardon. The last second baseman to lead the National League in home runs and RBIs in a season. Some may have guessed Joe Morgan. You got to go a lot further back than that.
I was going to say Ryan Sandberg.
That'd have been a good guess. Rogers Hornsby. That's going way back. He won the Most Valuable Player award that year. Phillips roller down to third. Just like that, 2 away.
Nice play right there by Chris Johnson, moving to his left, staying down on the baseball, and making a nice throw. But that's, that play right there. That play right there, you got to be ready to go right out the gates. Johnson sets up, he sees the balls hit soft to his left. Nice play right here. Reaches out, gathers himself under control. For all you kids out there, you don't need to rush that play. Gather yourself, get under control, and make a nice throw to first base.
Right now, Votto, 1 of 2, singled and scored in that 5-run third.
I mean, Joey is so hard on himself all the time. But you know what? That's why he's great. He's great because when he comes out here, he expects to do well. He expects to drive every pitch. He expects to not waste a pitch. He feels like he probably wasted a pitch right there, but You know, that's what you love about Joey Votto. When he comes to the park, it's business for him. And when he's in the cages, he hits with a purpose. When he's in batting practice, he hits with a purpose. When he gets in that batter's box, there's a purpose, Tommy. He's ready to go. He has a game plan. And that's why he was the MVP of the league last year, and that's why he'll continue to have great years.
Well, he's off to another big start here this year. 6 for his first 16 with a home run, a double, 3 runs batted in. Of course, everybody right now on this Reds team, I mean, it's hard to find a guy that's really not rolling out of the gate. When you're averaging 8 runs a game, you've outscored the opposition 31-13. In the first 4 games, 31-13. Talked about the remarkable pitching as far as not walking anybody, at least everybody outside of Volquez. The bullpen has not given up a single home run. The defense has committed 1 error. 1 error.
It's a team built to win now. I mean, they do everything well in every facet of the game.
Straightaway center field. Backing up on it is Bourne. And at the track, he'll gather it in the 1, 2, 3, 4th inning for Figueroa. Reds lead by 2 as we go to the 5th. Authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds. And make sure to get your 2011 Reds team calendar thanks to Kroger on Saturday, April the 16th, the Reds and the Pirates. For tickets to that one and every game, call 381-REDS or go to reds.com.
Remember that commercial, "Let's go Kroger"?
Of course. What do you mean, do I remember?
I don't know why it's in my head, but I just...
I had to beg you to sing happy birthday to your little girl Jillian last night, and now you're bringing into a Kroger song. You really do miss Cincinnati.
I got problems. I'm talking about Skyline, Montgomery Inn, and now "Let's go Krogering."
And you, by the way, have hit every one of those joints and haven't been even in town for a little over 24 hours.
I have. I hit Skyline for 3 minutes. I crushed the Montgomery Inn today for lunch. Now, you know, the sky's the limit. I had some rock bottom pizza last night. I'm all over the place.
And without fail, UDF ice cream all over your lovely shirt.
Well, you know, I was having a UDF ice cream, and next thing you know, I looked down before our show started, and it looked like just had a big stain right here. It looks like the chocolate hit me right here.
Chocolate goes well with lavender.
So I would, if anyone has any shout they could send up, that'd be big time.
Well, I mean, Procter & Gamble's only right down the road.
See,
here,
Procter & Gamble.
That's right. You're all set.
Another plug for a Cincinnati company.
That's right. That's right. But it is a good look.
It is a good look. Oh, thanks, Tommy. I appreciate it.
1-1 to Bill Hall.
Ice cream was really good until I started wearing it. And then it wasn't as good.
Well, I mean, at least you got to lick it off your shirt.
I got that going for me, which is nice.
One on and fouled out of play. Edinson Volquez, I think if somebody would have offered you the bet, you know, you think this guy will be hanging around in the 5th inning with a lead, I don't think many people would have taken that bet.
I wouldn't have taken it, and especially how he started out the 2nd inning. You know, right off the bat, getting a guy out there with a walk, and he's really settled in. Like we said, keep this team close, because you just saw they put a 5 spot on you in a hurry, and that 5 spot in the 3rd came in real quick.
There's plenty of giddy up left in that arm. That's a 96-mile-per-hour fastball.
And he's had Billy Hall's number tonight, Tommy. That's the 3rd time he's punched out Billy, and this is 96 riding in, and that's got good late action on it. It's right down the middle, and it kind of just rides up on him. Billy Hall's down for the 3rd time on strikes, but you see Volquez out of the windup. He just looks a lot more comfortable when he gets settled in. He gets into that stretch, and you start seeing a lot more inconsistency in the strike zone.
And there'll be a couple of areas if Edinson can get through 5. I mean, this is going to be it. I don't think there's any debate about that. This will be his final inning of work. He's knocking on the door of 100 pitches, 5 away now. But, you know, Brian Price and Edinson will get together, and I'm sure they'll talk about out of the windup, out of the stretch. They'll work on a little bit of that. And perhaps they'll also think about changing something a little bit about Edinson Volquez's pregame routine. We mentioned going back to the playoffs last year, and now the first 2 starts of this year. He's given up at least 4 runs in the first 2 innings of all those starts. So you try something a little different, and maybe the results get you off to a faster start in a game.
I totally agree. You know, sometimes it's that mentality. You just go in there, and sometimes it's in your head, and you're not making good pitches. And maybe there's something you can switch in your bullpen routine of, okay, let's get prepared. Let's think mentally like we're in the game already. Let's make our pitches in the bullpen. Where when we get into the 1st inning, we pretend like maybe it's a 2nd or 3rd inning. You know, those innings where you roll. So you're right. They got to maybe get a different game plan for that 1st inning. You know, one thing about it though is Brian Price is one of the best in the business as far as being prepared. You're not going to meet a more prepared pitching coach in the game. This guy, you know, is on top of things. I was down there at spring training and just watching him get to the park early every day, and you know, his preparation is off the charts. So you know, when Volquez is done here, they'll have some conversations in the next couple of days of, hey, listen, what do you think we can do better to get you out of that 1st inning and really get you into some sort of rhythm?
He certainly has found a rhythm again tonight. There's another strikeout by Volquez. That is 8 strikeouts in the game. So he hangs in there. Gives up 4 in the 1st inning and only 1 hit and no runs over the last 4. $25 from Shakely for the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done.
We'd like to send out a happy birthday to a very devoted Reds fan, Tommy. Evelyn Vandervoort of Cape May in Wilmington turns 98 big ones today. On Friday. No, not today. On Friday. 98 years old.
Evelyn.
Happy birthday and congratulations, Evelyn. Hope I'm 98 one day.
98. God bless you.
Jeez.
Man. Boy, Evelyn's really fired up now because that wasn't some stiff like me telling her happy birthday. That was Sean Kay, the mayor of Cincinnati. There's a Tapper foul.
I was fired up to say it. 98 years old. She must be taking her multivitamins.
Oh, yeah.
For a long time. That's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
I always like to take the Evelyn Vandervoorts and all the people that are 98, 100 years old or 90 and get them in a room and say, how'd you do it? No, like seriously, like
you're right.
How do you live? How do you eat?
Right.
You know, you exercise and like, you know, what's the secret?
Sharply hit ball to the glove side of the shortstop Sanchez. Well, you know, based on the way you're eating, we know that you're on your way to 98.
Yeah, you're at 9.8 more years.
No, but you're pumping that iron and working out.
No, I'm still working out.
Well, you're staying lean and mean. You look good.
I'm still working out and doing my thing. If I wasn't working out and doing my thing and I was having chocolate all over my shirts and crushing whatever I wanted, then I'd be in trouble.
Bruce, a fly ball to center field, and there are 2 out. So, I mean, you got some of your homeboys in a neighborhood that come over and work out with you?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in my garage, old school, like Rocky. You know, we get the music going, a little AC/DC. I got 16 guys that come over, and we like
16 guys.
We flip a tire.
Any of your friends have a job?
Yeah, no, they all have jobs. That's why they come over at 6 a.m., 5:45 a.m.
Really?
Yeah, we get it going, you know, on the dirty garage floor, do some kettlebells, big ropes. We flip a 450-pound tire, sandbags. You wouldn't last one day, Tommy. You'd be dead.
I wouldn't last 10 minutes. 450 pounds. What are we talking about here?
Well, you got to get a partner on that one. You and me would partner up, and I'd be like, Tommy, let's go. You know, what are you doing? It's like I'm by myself in this tire.
No, not like by yourself. It would be by yourself. That's popped up into foul ground, and the inning is over. 5:45, huh?
It's early.
That's really early.
Day here by the Reds dugout. It'll be Sam LeCure pitching out of the 5-hole of the pitching rotation tomorrow. That's because Johnny Cueto and Homer Bailey started the season on the disabled list. Let's give you an update. Johnny Cueto threw 37 pitches yesterday in a bullpen session. He said he threw hard, no pain. He said, I am ready. The plan for him is to throw 2 innings in a minor league game. The Reds leave for Arizona tomorrow, so he'll do that at the Reds facility there in Goodyear. Homer Bailey, long tossed yesterday, again reported no problems. He's got a bullpen session scheduled for Saturday, Plan for him is to pitch in a minor league game on April 14th. Now, the Reds think that Bailey is probably due to come back sooner than Cueto, only because he was farther along in spring training before he was shut down. But both guys, as we go back upstairs to our Champion Windows booth, both reporting good news.
And that's nothing but good news. To think you can start the year with 2 of your starters on the disabled list, and I mean, who knows by the time they come back what the Reds record will look like. But so far, perfect. Logan Ondrusek now replaces Edinson Volquez out of the Cincinnati bullpen.
I'll tell you what, it's a great problem to have. It's a problem that Dusty Baker will take day in and day out, having too much starting pitching. But who do you choose? Who goes down? Who stays up? That's a great problem to have if you're looking to be a championship caliber club.
In the air down the right field line, anything near Jay Bruce, he's going to get it, and that's one out.
I'll tell you what, Tommy, that's going to be gold pretty soon, man.
No doubt.
People are starting to respect what Jay Bruce does out there, players around the league, but also, you know, everyone that watches the Reds play. This guy is special out there in right field, and you know, he finds the wall. See his left hand, he finds the wall, and knows where he's at, knows he has some room, makes the catch. But he makes it look easy. That's not an easy play, no doubt about it. But Jay Bruce, that's going to be gold pretty soon. He's got an absolute cannon of an arm. I think he's right behind Frank. You know, they ranked him behind Jeff Francoeur as far as arm strength, but he's special out there.
I thought he should have won a Gold Glove last year.
He probably should have, no doubt about it.
It's a tough award to win. It's a hard award, quite frankly, to figure anymore. A lot of guys put up big offensive numbers, and then all of a sudden they go from being a good defender. You know, you use a former Astro, Jeff Bagwell. Bagwell was a very good defender. Was he anywhere close to, say, Mark Grace? Nowhere close to Mark Grace. Grace wins a couple of Gold Gloves in a row, and then all of a sudden the year Bagwell wins the MVP, all of a sudden he wins the Gold Glove. I mean, you know, so that's not true at every position, but it seems like it's gotten more and more where you don't see a lot of guys that don't have good offensive years win Gold Glove.
The offensive numbers definitely matter. I mean, you can go back to there's some gas right there from Ondrusek up 93. You go back to in the late 90s when Brett Boone had, I think it was 97, he had like one error, no error, something ridiculous like that. Biggio had like 18 errors, but Boone hit 210 and Biggio hit 330, and he gets the Gold Glove. Well, what's that have to do with hitting?
Right. And the other part about it is managers and coaches vote on the Gold Glove. And the way the schedule is set up now, where you only play teams outside your division, a total of 6 games. Well, I mean, how qualified, and I'm not sure who would be qualified, but how qualified can, say, you know, Dusty Baker be about the Dodgers' second baseman, right? And it's not a shot at Dusty. You can say the same thing for any manager. How qualified is Brad Mills about the Florida Marlins shortstop, right?
They're not.
There's a rocket into center field by Figueroa, and he has his second hit of the game. Well, speaking of those Marlins, the Reds will face them a weekend of April the 29th through May the 1st. Should be a very exciting series, and it's presented by our friends at McDonald's. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com today. Night game, day game with the Marlins in town.
That's a good young team out there, the Marlins.
Yep.
Stanton, Logan Morrison, Sanchez, Gabby Sanchez. Those guys can swing the bat a little bit.
2-2 start for the Marlins, and they're tied at 4 in the 6th inning tonight with the Washington Nationals. 0-2 to Michael Bourne, who has walked, stolen a base, scored, struck out, and doubled. Astros only have 2 hits since a 4-run, 4-hit, 3-walk first inning, and Ondrusek very impressive.
That was nasty.
play. First batter in the first inning.
Nice play right there, and got the snorkel right there. The ball was popped out of his glove, but you gotta love when you pay to come watch a ball game and you're watching Hunter Pence, you're getting your money's worth every night.
That was a Coors Light Freeze Can, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Along with Sean Casey, I'm Tom Brenneman, our entire Fox Sports Ohio crew, our producer Christian Roberts, our director Roy Alfers. Jesse Jackson up here in the booth each and every night, along with our statistician Joel Luckham. And a cast of thousands bringing you Reds baseball each and every day.
Appreciate Jesse brought me some, brought me a couple napkins before I wipe off my shirt, so I appreciate that, Jesse. Big time, man.
First pitch swinging. Ramon Hernandez drives one into right center field, but there's room out there for Bourne. One pitch, one out.
And we've seen a lot of balls, Tom, in these last two nights driven to the outfield that just end up dying out there. If it's this air or whatever it is, just end up dying out there in the warning track.
Now Paul Giannis, 2 hits, 2 RBIs tonight, including a big single in the second inning to get the Reds on the board after they had fallen behind 4-0, then capped off that 5-run inning with a 2-out RBI single to center. Figueroa hanging in there as well. I mean, he had a 4-0 lead. He gave it up with 1 in the second, 5 in the third. But this Houston starting rotation, outside of the man we see tomorrow, there's a 3rd straight hit by Giannis in the game tonight. But outside of Brett Myers on opening day, who pitched brilliantly in Philadelphia, should have won the game, the rest of these guys have taken their lumps.
That's the second time tonight, I believe, we've seen Giannis go right back up the middle. And that's a nice little curveball slider right there out over the plate, but he stays, lets it travel, and just hits a rocket back up the middle. Nice piece of hitting there by Paul again.
Well, no one getting loose in the Astros bullpen. We talked about, their starters here after Myers on opening day, who actually outpitched Roy Halladay. He shut out that Philadelphia team until they rallied against Brandon Lyon to win in the 9th inning. But whether it's Wandy Rodriguez, Bud Norris, starter and loser here last night, Jay Happ, 4 innings, 7 runs. And here Figueroa's given up 6 runs through 5 1/3. Miguel Cairo batting for Andrusik. Runner goes. Pitch taken. And easily into second. Looked like Toles had a hard time getting it out of his mitt.
It's like Giannis gets a real good jump there on Nelson. He really stole that off of the pitcher right there. I mean, real good jump by Paul. He kind of deked him too. Didn't really look like he was going. Didn't have a huge lead, but it got a great jump and got that bag stolen.
So Giannis in scoring position and on the ground and booted by Johnson. That's a 3rd error tonight by Houston.
Ball just got that in between hop. His feet were kind of still and kind of let the ball play him instead of really, wasn't hit hard enough. He could have got a little bit more movement in his feet to get some momentum going to third base and to first base, and it just kind of got caught in between.
Now the Astros will get that bullpen started. The only left-hander they have down there, Fernando Abad, getting loose in a hurry. Probably getting loose for Joey Votto, who's still 2 batters away. Here's Stubbs with 2 on and 1 out. Now Figueroa's had his way with Stubbs after that sliding grab by Pence we showed you a moment ago to take away a double in the first inning. He's gotten Drew to roll over one on a grounder to third and struck him out in the fourth.
This is a big spot for the Reds right here. I mean, they're up 6-4. Obviously, they're in the driver's seat, but this is one you got first and second. You got one out. You got Figueroa up to 82 pitches. It'd be nice to put some insurance runs on the board right here. Get another 1 or 2 runs, and then you got Chapman warming up out there, and he comes in. I mean, you're set up right here if you can get 1 or 2 more across the board.
We continue to get back to the team and the different areas you look to break down a ball club. Obviously, a lot of teams are very strong in one area, but may be offset by a weakness in another. The Reds' bullpen is certainly one of the primary strengths that is so infrequently talked about with this team. 1 and 2 to Stubbs. Now, you say that, and of course, it could be a night where they give up 7 runs. But theoretically, anyway, after that first month, 5-6 weeks of the year where they were coming off a great year in the bullpen, 2009. Everybody was slow out of the gate. But once it got rolling last year, there wasn't a better bullpen around outside of San Diego, and we know about the offense. There's another hit by Stubbs and another run for the Reds. It is a 7-4 game.
That's what we're talking about right there before, Tommy, trying to get these runs across the board. Drew Stubbs does a great job right here. Gets a pitch out over the plate. Look how he rides that back elbow down the backside drive right there. Stays through the baseball. It's been impressive the way he's been swinging the bat towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Driving the ball all over the place. Not being that all or nothing type guy where he's flying out to the outfield. He's really using line to line, hitting line drives everywhere. But that's a nice piece of hitting. Ball out over the plate, stays through it, gets a nice line drive over the shortstop's head.
Well, if you go back last year and carry it into now this year, Stubbs has hit in 13 straight games. And here's Phillips, runners on the corners, 1 out. And there's another hit and another run. And Stubbs is off to the races. They're going to hold him at third. Scoring is Cairo. 8-4 Reds lead, and there's those runs you were talking about, Sean Casey.
There they are right there to get it to 8-4. Now 8-4. I tell you what, right there, Brandon Phillips again. Just a nice piece of hit and gets another curveball. But look at that pitch right there. That's not an easy pitch to hit. It's a curveball that's out on the outside part of the plate. And Brandon Phillips does a great job at driving to right center. But you got another first to third situation right here. Stubby goes first to third. And Miguel Cairo did it before him, when Stubbs got that hit. So you're seeing all facets of the game, base running, hitting, them, everybody using the whole field.
My 6-year-old son is jumping up and down if he's still awake because you just called his favorite player Stubby. That's what he calls him, Stubby. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning, as many of you probably know at the network level at Fox Sports and now on all the Fox Sports Net regionals. Every year we pick a charity for the different sports that we have, whether it's the BCS, whether it's the NFL on Fox, NASCAR on Fox, and Major League Baseball on Fox. We're wearing these pins tonight, and as part of our Fox Sports Supports charitable initiative in baseball this year, we're proud to wear these pins to support Stand Up to Cancer and their work to fund groundbreaking research that helps accelerate treatment to patients. For more information, please visit standup2cancer, the number 2.org/Fox Sports. Here's Joey Votto against Fernando Abad. And a breaking ball in there, a strike. Abad pitched very well for this team last year. Look at that opponent's batting average, 200.
Obviously, probably tough off lefties too. Brad Mills probably using him in situations where he's getting that lefty on lefty matchup. I think one of the things you love about Joey Votto is he doesn't mind if you throw lefty, if you're righty, if you're ambidextrous, whatever you are. He's going to hit that little white sphere that comes up there, and he's going to hit it hard. And I think that's what you got to love about him. Lefties or righties, he's got that great approach to both of them.
That's a pretty good breaking ball right there. Missed a little bit low. That buckled him a little bit.
That buckled him a little bit, but he didn't bite. And that tells me he's letting the ball travel, seeing it deep, really staying balanced in his stance.
Eight unanswered runs by the Reds. Tardy on a fastball, 2-1, and dropped foul out of play to even the count. Look at those numbers tonight. That's money hitting right there.
That's how you're going to win a lot of ball games throughout the year if you keep putting up those kind of numbers.
Two.
We talked about last night, Tommy. I think what teams in the National League are going to learn, in and around baseball is when you face Cincinnati Reds, there's not a lot of easy outs in that lineup. Everyone's going to give you a battle. Everyone's going to take you to 3-2, get a walk. I mean, these guys are tough outs.
Fouled away. Votto tonight 1 for 3, singled and scored back in the third inning. Good fastball there by Abad, in on the hands of Votto, but able to muscle it foul and out of play.
That's what he does, though, right there. That's a 3-2 pitch. That's a tough pitch. That's a pitcher's pitch in inner half of the plate. And Joey Votto lets the ball travel so far that he gets his hands inside that and shoots it out and gets another pitch for himself.
In the air, left field. Drifting back, Carlos Lee. Not going to get it. It bounced into the stands for an RBI double.
Listen, this is why that at-bat's so impressive right there. Okay? I mean, he fights off a couple pitches, gets the 3-2, and this is where Votto's so good. That ball is middle in. That's a tough pitch, lefty on lefty. But Joey Votto waits so long, better than anybody in the game of baseball. And what he does here, look at that, middle in again. But now, Tommy, it's not paint. It's a little out over the plate where he can handle it. So instead of being a foul ball, it's a double down the left field line. That's why Joey Votto's so good. Not everybody can take that pitch middle in, especially off a lefty, and shoot a rocket to left field. And that's what he does so well.
3 more runs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 9 runs on 12 more hits. And here is Rolen. They sent Phillips back to third on the ground rule double. Rolen a hit. And 3 at-bats and a couple of more RBIs.
Another hitter's count. Another 2-0. I mean, worked themselves into hitter's counts. Brad Mills is saying, what do we got to do to shut this offense down? What kind of pitch do we have to make up?
Well, he knows they have their horse going tomorrow.
Yep.
I mean, not that Brad Mills is already thinking about tomorrow. We still have 3 full innings left to go in this one here tonight. Anything can happen. But he knows he's got his main man getting the ball tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, and Brett Myers. Borderline 3-1 pitch called a strike. Roland didn't like it.
Well, anytime you have a guy like Myers in your rotation as a manager, you got to feel good to know, okay, if we're scuffling, at least we have a stopgap guy we know that can come out, give us innings, and hopefully shut somebody down so we can get on a little streak.
Of course, the Astros are still looking for their first win of this young season. 3-2 to Roland. On the ground, runner breaks, throw, and safe is Brandon Phillips. He got a great jump. Boy, they just keep coming at you.
They keep putting pressure on you is what they do. They just keep putting pressure on the defense. Obviously, he's going on contact. You know, Mark Berry obviously said, you're going on contact, get going. He did. He got a huge jump right off the bats. Tolles is back a little bit off the plate, allows Brandon Phillips to get that front part of the plate. Watch right here. Tolles is back a little bit, and BP is able to just to get in there with his foot before he collides with Tolles. Oh, gets it in there right between it. He leaves a little bit of the plate, and Brandon's able to get in there. But great play heads-up play by Brandon Phillips going on contact.
And hopefully Brandon's all right. I mean, those are the kind of collisions you've been in them, Sean Casey. I mean, you know, those are the ones you just hope everybody walks away from that okay. He appears to be okay. We know he left the game last night.
Especially anytime you're sliding into home, you're sliding into those pads. You know, those things, you never know what's going to happen. They hurt when you slide into them. But right here, you know, Scotty Rowland hits it hard again, but Brandon Phillips right off the get-go gets in there. That's kind of shin on shin, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of adrenaline pumping right there, Tommy. When you come in and you have a play at the plate, you got the fans on their feet, they're fired up, you're fired up, so he might not feel that till tomorrow morning.
1-1 to Jay Bruce, and a breaking ball is on the outside corner, and again, a Reds hitter disagrees. To read his lips, he said that's off, meaning off the plate. 2 hits, 2 runs scored, a stolen base in the game for Jay. You know, with all these Reds hitters and the kind of starts they're off to, the scary part, if you're the opposition, is Jay Bruce doesn't have an RBI yet.
Yeah, and that, you know, that's going to change. I mean, this guy can flat out hit, and you're right, everyone's raking. And he's hitting the ball well too, just doesn't have an RBI or a home run yet. But you know, this is the guy that gets those RBIs and home runs in bunches.
Struck him out with a fastball up and in, and they're 2 away in the inning.
There is a situation though where you have that 1-1 pitch, and he thinks the ball's a little off the plate. Tim Welke obviously thought it was a strike, but now you have a situation where it's 1-2 instead of 2-1. It changes your whole at bat, and that was the case right there with Jay Bruce.
Well, we'll have a third different pitcher in this inning to try and retire Chris Heisey. Back in a moment. After Houston jumped out 4-0 at the end of one. The Reds scored 1 in the second, 5 in the third, and 4 more, and still batting here in the 6th inning for a 10-4 lead.
Well, they added on those runs we were talking about. Here comes Mark Melancon, yeah.
Yep.
But they added on those runs we were talking about, Tommy. You know, it was a 6-4 game. You got first and second, 1 out, and then Drew Stubbs is able to get that big hit. Brandon Phillips comes up with another big hit to make it 8-4. Now they've made it 10-4. But this is what you're talking about right here. You have a 6-4 lead, and now you got to really stretch it out. And this offense was able to do that. And Joey Votto comes up with another RBI and rocket down the left field line on a pitch middle in from a lefty on lefty.
So Mark Melancon taking over on the mound. 6 different stints in the major leagues, having been called up on 3 occasions in 2009 and 2010. Came over from the Yankees last year in the Lance Berkman deal. So Mark Melancon on the pitch, and here is Chris Heisey with 2 on and 2 out. Good breaking ball. It's a very odd pronunciation for the way it's spelled.
I botched that one.
Well, you and me both. I mean, it is a very odd pronunciation, but it is Melancon. So here he is. To Heisey, who had 3 RBIs last night and another one here tonight. Stolen a base, scored a run.
You know, when you watch it up here, you watch guys like Chris Heisey swing at that pitch, and when you're in the stands, how do you swing at that pitch? Well, you're in the box, you just don't pick up the rotation. You know, you wonder, oh, why did I swing at that pitch? Well, it looked like it was good coming out of his hand, and then I swung, and it wasn't a good pitch.
And then it came right back. And delivers strike 3 does Melancon, but the Reds get 4 more. We go to the 7th. The Reds leading 10-4. By AT&T, by Cincinnati Children's in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties in U.S. News and World Report's 2010 Best Children's Hospitals. And by your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers. Big round of applause you hear means only one thing in a 10-4 game in the 7th. That man has come on the pitch. Aroldis Chapman.
I thought they were cheering for you, and then I realized Aroldis Chapman was in the game.
No, that's not going to happen. He pitched in one game. That's it. That was on Sunday. Got the final 3 outs in the 12-3 win over Milwaukee, working a perfect inning with a strikeout. And you've not seen Aroldis Chapman in person in a game.
I've never seen him in person. I've talked to him a couple times, and he looked at me like I had 27 heads. Because I don't think he understood what I was saying. When I first got down there last year, I was down there for a week, and I was saying hi to everybody. Hey, what's going on? And saw Mark Berry, and I walked up to Aroldis Chapman. I was like, hey, nice to meet you, man. I'm Sean Casey. How's everything going? He looked at me like, what? And Mark Berry's like, don't bother, Casey. He doesn't understand one word of English. I was like, all right, we'll talk to you later. All I know is he throws 105. It's the only language he needs to speak.
That's exactly right. So now the young Cuban will get the ball with a 6-run lead. It'll be Angel Sanchez, Hunter Pence, and Carlos Lee, 3 straight right-handed batters. Of course, Chapman this time a year ago was in the starting rotation for the Louisville Bats. As the season went on, the Reds felt like if Chapman was going to make an impact with a major league club, that would come as a reliever. So he went to the bullpen, came up to the big leagues, and on record has thrown the hardest pitch of any man who has ever lived. And that's according to the only barometer they have. That is universal in baseball circles, 105 miles per hour against Tony Gwynn Jr. in a game in San Diego last year. That's back-to-back heaters in triple digits.
Jeez. I like him in this role. I really do. I think he's a max effort type of guy. I mean, these are the guys at the back end of your pen shut down games. I mean, they have a good enough starting pitching to get them through that 6-7 innings. Then you got Chapman at the, and then Cordero towards the end of the bullpen. But I like him in this. He's a max effort type guy, as you can see with the radar gun going nuts.
Two pitch. Came back with an 87-mile-per-hour slider, and it's popped up. 1 away.
Yeah, that'll fool you. That'll get you out front, ready to hit that fastball. Then you get the slider, and you just can't do anything with it. The only guy I can compare him to is Joel Zumaya, who I faced in Detroit. When I was in Pittsburgh, I faced him in Detroit, and he was throwing 101, 102 miles an hour with a pretty good hook, too, about 83 miles an hour. And it's nasty. When you face a guy like that, it's different than 93, 94. It's just at a total another level, and it's tough to get a gauge on those guys. And as a hitter, sometimes you want to go get those guys and really get out there in the fastball. It's almost kind of the opposite. You really almost got to relax more and make sure that you try to slow that 100 miles an hour down. If it makes sense, Tom, you almost mentally want to try and slow him down instead of speed him up and go get him.
Zumaya, it's interesting you mentioned his name because prior to Chapman, he had thrown the hardest pitch recorded.
Yeah.
By the same gun.
Zumaya had a cannon of an arm, and it was special. And this is, like I said, when I see Chapman throwing that arm, it really reminds me of Zumaya of a couple years ago with Detroit.
Zumaya's had many arm issues, unfortunately for him, and again this year no different.
Yep. He's been banged up the last few years, and that year in 06 when I was with Detroit, boy, he was, like I said, he was him and Roddy at the end of that bullpen, and Todd Jones were special.
There's 4-pitch walk to Pence. Yeah, it was no wonder that Tiger team he played for advanced on to the World Series that year. you had those three guys at the end of the game, it was see you later.
It was see you later. I mean, Zumaya, Rodney, and Todd Jones, those guys were lights out at the end of that. And that's what I'm talking about. You got a great club. You got guys that can hit. You got a good rotation. Well, some teams are missing that back end of the pen. Well, when you have the guys like Chapman and Cordero and these guys on Druzek, I mean, they got some power pitchers that can shut down games.
And, of course, maybe the guy who, from a consistency standpoint, is the best of the entire group is Massett.
Yeah,
I mean, right now, Massett, you know, you'd have to say if you had to throw down a wager on any guy down there to shut the door on a big rally, Massett might be the guy you pick first.
Probably the nastiest stuff of anybody probably is Massett with what he's throwing up there. So, I mean, that's 4 impressive names we throw out there. You got more guys out there too.
Shallow center, Stubbs will come and get it.
It's nice to be able to be that fast, huh? I mean, that's a big jump he gets on the ball, and he's just rolling. Right when this ball's hit, you can see. And Carlos Lee, sometimes when he takes a big hat, you're going to go back. Drew Stubbs, he busts in right away, and he could just flat out fly.
Two away in the inning, and here comes Bill Hall, who has struck out 3 times in the game already.
And now he's going to face Chapman. Thanks a lot.
He'll be hacking early in his
Oh, believe me, he might see 3 big hacks right here. Believe me, you know you struck out 3 times when you're coming up that 4th time, and you don't want to do it 4 times, so you're swinging. There you go.
Well, they refer to it in baseball circles as the golden sombrero, right?
Yeah, you know everyone would get one of those.
You've never done it.
I never got one of those.
That doesn't surprise me.
I never
probably never did 3, did you?
Twice, I think I got 3 times. I was having a real bad day. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I think. Now he's 0-2, and he's thinking, oh, please, let me just put it in play. Let me pop one up here. It's foul. I'll foul out. Just don't want to punch out one more time.
So you think that's what's going through his mind?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. That's what I used to think. Just pop up, foul out. Just put it in play. Save face.
That went up to 102 miles per hour. That's some serious gas, man.
It really is. And he's got that delivery with that big, big lanky arm action. That's fuel. This guy makes me thankful I'm in the booth. Yeah, you don't see that often. Middle reliever comes in and people give us ovations, for getting to 104 miles an hour. That's when you know when a middle reliever can get the attention of the crowd, you got some pretty special stuff.
Hernandez wanted the slider. Chapman says, no, I'm bringing the heat. And here comes the 1-2 pitch. Count even. Well, we mentioned it's only the 2nd game that Chapman has pitched in. Guys can tend to get a little rusty down there. Now, by the time you hit July and August, they'll take a day off gladly. Game here, game there after maybe 2 or 3 in a row. But early, you can get a little rusty down in that bullpen.
Come April, when you break camp, you want reps. Yeah. You want to get in there and get into a routine. It's a different routine at spring training. You might not be throwing the 7th, 8th inning. Maybe you're getting your work and you're throwing the 3rd or 4th inning after the starter. Well, now when the season starts, you want to get those reps, and you want to get a situation where it's 7th, 8th inning and get out there early in April. You're exactly right, Tom.
So 3-2. 1-0 gets started. 2 away in the 7th. Bill Hall hanging in there.
Straight battling right now.
3-2 again. And Hall puts it in play, and how about that? That's pretty good at bat right there by Hall. Fell behind 0-2, works it full, and shoots one into right for a hit.
Nice piece of hitting right there by Billy Hall. Like you said, though, like we were saying before, he didn't want to get that golden sombrero. He was going to do everything he could. That was a 101-mile-an-hour pitch up and away. Nice piece of hitting. He gets that elbow drive, lets the ball travel, and look at that extension through the baseball. Nice piece of hitting right there by Billy Hall. But, hey, like we were saying, he was battling not to get the golden sombrero. There was a lot of pride and ego going on in that at-bat.
Now, my question for you is, if you're the guy on deck as a left-handed batter, Brett Wallace, were you secretly hoping that perhaps Mr. Hall made the final out of the inning?
I'm like, please line out. Pop up, please. Do not want to face this guy.
We'll see. A walk and a hit allowed by Chapman.
That was a comfortable swing right there,
Not bad at all.
Yeah, he felt like he was right on that fastball right there. But the thing with one thing with Chapman, if you're a hitter, you want to get him early. You know he's coming with the fastball. You know he's going to fill up the zone early. He's not going to try and trick you, and you got to be ready to hit it early in the count.
0-1 the count. Good slider there at 88. We haven't seen that devastating slider yet tonight by Chapman. We might see it here on 0-2. That's just good old country hardball.
I mean, that was a tough pitch Wallace just wasted right there. That ball was black, down and away. I mean, that's a tough pitch right there to waste, especially at 102. No big deal, just 102.
Well, here comes that slider now. 0-2. Back up through the middle. And a throw to first in time. So a scoreless inning for Chapman. A hit and a walk. Stand and stretch at Great American Ballpark. Reds lead 10-4. A lot of these this season from Paul Giannis.
Great play. You got to love right here how Giannis makes it look easy. This is not an easy play. Gets the ball up the middle, composes himself right here, sets his feet, makes an accurate throw at Joey Votto. Great play. That seems like we're seeing that every night nowadays. Giannis making 2 or 3 of those things.
Yep, and he will all summer.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, 3 for 3 at the plate ain't bad either.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got 3 knocks too. How we doing?
3 hits, 2 RBIs, a stolen base, a run scored. Ramon giving that bat a kiss on his way to the plate. Did you ever used to kiss your bats?
No, I never did kiss my bats. No, but I I definitely at times would talk to him and say, "Come on, what's going on here? Why can't you give me a couple hits?"
You weren't like Joe Boo?
Like Joe Boo, yeah. I do it myself. Now Joe Boo's doing like Allstate commercials or something, isn't he?
That's exactly right. Here's Ramon Hernandez to lead things off against Mark Melanson, third pitcher used tonight by Brad Mills. Starter Figueroa gave up 10 runs, 6 of which were earned runs. Bill Bray ready in the Reds bullpen. We'll see him more than likely in the 8th. Get him a little bit of work. Johnson, Tolles, and a pinch hitter due up in the Houston 8th inning. Hernandez, 1 of 3, singled back in the 2nd inning. And that one rolled out in front of the plate. 1 out. After every game, it's Reds Live, presented by King's Honda, the King's Auto Mall. Visit King'sHondaUSA.com. Jim Day and Jeff Piccoro standing by for Reds Live. One away for Paul Yanish.
Tough play right here.
Yep. We'll see how they score that. I'd imagine that would be a hit. That'll be an error.
Oh, that's an error?
Scored an error. You know, again, and it's not making light of, problems. Every team has a bad night. But here the Astros tonight have committed 4 errors. The Reds have committed 1 error this entire year.
There's the difference. I mean, that's the difference between 0-5 and 5-0.
Well, here's big Juan Francisco. Here's a guy that so many people, I think a lot of folks love to see what this young man is going to do when that day comes, when he gets to play every day. On the ground, and they can't turn the double play. 2 outs in the inning. It's a nice play that time by Sanchez.
Nice play right there by Sanchez. It looked like Brett Wallace kind of came off the base a little early there, didn't it? I mean, it looked like he could have stretched out, but he jumped off the base a little bit early. Figured, I guess, Francisco was already by the base. He's a good-looking hitter, though. Francisco has got a nice swing. Really short to the ball, stays through it well. He's going to be a great big league ball player when he gets a chance to play.
Big slugger has put up huge numbers at all levels of the minor leagues, but of course, he stuck behind Scott Rowland, but the Reds said, hey, we got to find a way to get this guy with a big league club. So he's played first base, some left field, some right field. He'll get some starts as this season moves along. We all know that Rowland will get breaks from time to time. In fact, if I were a betting man, and I didn't even ask Dusty Baker about it today, but I'd bet on it that says he starts tomorrow at third base.
Francisco?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going with that bet. I'm saying Scotty Rowland is probably not playing tomorrow, and Francisco. I mean, what a nice, thing to have when you have a prospect like that can be a legit big league player. You just plug him in at third base.
Well, Stubbs has gone on strikes, and that will retire the side. Off we go to the 8th. The Reds in command.
Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Reds game live or on demand on your computer and your favorite devices. With MLB.tv Premium, you can enjoy HD quality home and away coverage, multi-game view, and the ability to pause and rewind live games. Visit Reds.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Oh, Tommy, I took that one from you, brother. I nailed it.
You're 2 for 2 on that one.
I'm on fire.
Maybe you're Mr. MLB.
That's right.
Why not, right?
Why not? I might as well take the MLB.tv one.
Honda standings in the National League Central. The Pirates off to that 4-2 start. They've won their first 2 series of the year on the road in Chicago and St. Louis. Cubs lost to Arizona today but won that series. St. Louis in all 6 games they've scored 3 runs or less. Milwaukee got its first win last night. And the Brewers with a 5-4 lead over Atlanta in the 6th inning tonight.
St. Louis losing Matt Holliday that's a huge hit to that lineup.
Bill Bray takes over on the mound and gets ahead of Chris Johnson. Bray too has come back from Tommy John surgery.
Look at that opponent average right there, Bill Bray, 198. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Only thing with Bray is you see that big strikeout number, 30 in 28 innings. But the walk number is the one that from time to time gets Bray in trouble. Well, when he's throwing strikes, I mean, he just dazzles you. Because he has good stuff.
He does have good stuff. You know, like you said, sometimes pitchers out there, they just, you know, when they can't find the zone, they can't find it.
Bray is such a likable kid, a native Virginian. Smart. Pays attention to things going on around him in the world. A husband, a dad, good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I love talking to Bill Bray. Every time at spring training this year, you know, he hunts, you know, searches me down, and you know, today I had a good conversation with him. Just a great guy to talk to. There's a ton of guys in that dugout. They're just good people, man. There's not too many guys, you know, in that dugout that won't give you the time of day, and
you're right.
You know, and we'll sit down and have a conversation with you.
Well, you and I were talking last night, and there's a liner caught by Brendan Phillips. He's been doing it with a bat. He's been doing it in the field, been doing it running the bases all night.
You talked about it before, Tom, and this guy makes his team go offensively, defensively. But nice piece of hitting right here, but Brandon Phillips just has too much vertical lead. It looks like you're vertical right there, Tommy.
It does.
He got up right
short
there.
of mine.
A little short of yours. 2 inches. Nice play right there.
Boy, is he quick out of the gate here this year. And, you know, you look at the contractual situation with Phillips, and, you know, rarely do we get into the whole contract thing, because fans, quite frankly, they'll tell you they don't want to hear about it. But the one thing the Reds have going for them, you're always looking for a player playing in their free agent year, in their contract year. And in Phillips' case, they're getting a player who conceivably they will get at the very minimum 2 years of that player. The Reds hold a club option for him next year. So obviously he's playing to have that option picked up. He's made it very clear he'd like to be a Red for the remainder of his career. Loves playing here. The city loves the guy. I mean, despite all the stuff some may have heard that are watching from out of town, the stuff that went down with the Cardinals last year, this guy is a good kid.
He's a great kid. He's a great kid and a great player. I mean, this guy is gold glove over there, perennial all-star. You know, puts up big home run numbers, drives in a lot of runs, hits 300. He does everything. You were saying before, Tom, in the last couple of days, hey, we talk about Brandon Phillips. This guy sets the table. This guy, as he goes, this club goes as far as all the things he can do. I mean, he's a legit five-tool player. You know, you get caught up in that term, but this guy is a legit five-tool player when it comes to he can do everything.
One and one to Matt Downs, who bats for the first time tonight. Batting for Melanson, who goes an inning and a third of no hit, no run baseball. One, two, three inning.
Pound in the strike zone. All the Reds relievers tonight pound in the strike zone.
Specials, singles events, a Reds House DJ and more. 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. That's where the Reds had the big party the night they clinched over at Mint Martini.
That probably was a great party. I'd love to have been there.
I wasn't invited, so I just I went out my old regular haunt, Mount Adams. Got to the Blind Lemon with all my old homeboys.
Stick with what you know.
That's exactly right.
And who you know.
That's exactly right. Well, the former Red who pitched for the ball club last year, and boy, there was a lot to like about this guy, Anirio Del Rosario. This guy's got a live arm. The 25-year-old came over to Houston from the Reds in September of last season. Pitched in 9 games for the Reds, and after the trade, a couple of games for Houston last season. In 173 career minor league games, a third of them starts. A 2.77 ERA. Been an all-star for the Reds at a couple of different levels coming up through their minor league system.
Could be trouble.
Phillips is safe.
Yeah.
He beat it out. Going hard here in the 8th with a 6-run lead.
Sanchez had trouble all day. It just looked like he took too much time getting into this baseball. Brandon Phillips obviously is fast out of the box. He's running hard right out of the box. But it just seemed like Sanchez kind of played that ball back a little bit instead of really charging it. But, you know, Brandon's, he's off and running right out the gates, and you can smell that hit right there. Big job down the line and hustling. But Sanchez had trouble over there all night long, Tom. I mean, it just seems like he's, you know, in between on balls, and you know, right there, I felt like he could have probably charged that ball a little quicker, you knowing that know your runner and know Brandon Phillips can fly out of that box.
It's the 3rd hit tonight for Brandon. 4th time he's been on base. He scored a couple of times. And here's Joey Votto. Votto 2 out of 4 has scored a run, knocked in a run. Right here, right now, Reds fans, book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. Lots going on here in the summer. A lot going on. Talk of the town this summer could again well be the Cincinnati Reds. Central Division champions, reaching the postseason for the first time in 15 years last summer. And 3 outs away from a 5-0 start in 2011. There's ball 4 to Votto.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu. Inspired solutions and better results. JTM.
Not a better man in our broadcast team to talk about food than Sean Casey.
You got that right, pal.
Although, you know, your old buddy, the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, he'll be with us on this upcoming road trip through Phoenix and San Diego.
He crushes food, too.
Now, that boy can eat.
The Cowboy's got to eat.
Cowboy.
How's he looking? Is he keeping the boiler down?
Not really. No, not at all, in fact. It is... It's
growing by the day.
By the day. As Edgar Renteria gets a chance to bat for the first time. There's a Cowboy.
There he is.
He'll be with us on the tube. He's turning.
He's turning the channel.
He had himself on, and he's like, I can't look at it anymore.
Yeah. He's going to turn to stone if he keeps looking at it.
And then, of course, then there's Marty down there.
Oh, he's definitely turning to stone if he keeps looking at himself.
I mean, he, you know, you get into these 3-hour-plus games.
He's bitter Bob down there.
Look at him.
Look at him. I can't believe it. Longest game in history. Bottom 8.
And Edgar Renteria muscles one down the right field line. That'll score Brandon Phillips. So Renteria with a base hit. That's his first hit, first RBI as a Red.
That's what he does so well, man. He can get inside of the baseball no matter where it is around the plate. That ball is up and in. He's able to get his hands inside the baseball and shoot a ball down the right field line. That's why Edgar Renteria has been a great hitter his whole career. He's able to just wait on the ball and stay inside it with his hands. Since you've been back, Tommy, has it been nice being able to see your dad?
Oh, it's been a hoot, and especially the last couple of years, he has just been a hoot to be around. I mean, just a ball. He really has. Of course, you're the guy, and he talked about it last night. You dropped Cantankerous on him.
I know, I did drop Cantankerous. There he is, right there.
That one bobbled by Sanchez, and another run scores to make it 12-4. Been a rough night for Mr. Sanchez.
He's had a rough night over there. It just, it seems like he's not charging when he's the charger. Nothing's coming up clean for him. Just another bobble, just can't make the play. You know, it happens. Slumps happen in baseball as a hitter. They also happen as a fielder. You start making a play, you can't make the play, make a bad play, and then you start to feel like, oh, I do not want the ball hit to me, and I think that's what he's starting to feel like.
That'll be an error again on Sanchez. That's 5 errors in the game tonight. I would imagine we may see a number of new faces in that Houston lineup tomorrow. They basically same batting order this entire trip to start the year. Of course, the schedule makers didn't do the Astros any favors. I mean, you're going to play everybody roughly the same number of times when all is said and done anyway. But to start the year on the road at Philadelphia, division champion, come to Cincinnati, division champion, before you ever have a home game.
And the Astros started 0-8 last year. They don't want to repeat that again. They were always looking up, trying to climb that mountain last year. When you're down that hole 0-8, that's a tough road to hoe. You know what cantankerous means in the dictionary?
What does it mean?
Difficult or irritating to deal with. And one day your dad was burying me on the radio. I had to come in and say, you know what, buddy? You're so cantankerous, I can't even take it.
He's never forgotten that.
I know. I know. That's why I love your dad. Your dad was great because we always had that rapport. He'd say something, I'd get on him, or he'd get on me, and we were always cool with it, but we'd always let each other know. See, there he is right there. Cantankerous. I love him. There's a living legend right there, Marty. Still going strong, huh?
Oh, boy. Sounds better than ever.
Hey, he's got still one of his. He always wears where's the one sweater he wears? It looks like kind of like Fruity Pebbles. It's like all 75 different colors. It was in like 1982, but he was still wearing it last year.
There's Paul Ford and Chris Eisen.
Now that I'm in the booth, I can kill him a little bit.
Yeah, you think? Well, another trip to the mound as they are loaded with nobody out after the walk to Heisey.
Speaking of your dad and being a living legend and another legend obviously that God rest his soul is Joe Nuxhall.
Oh yeah.
And two of the greatest people out there. And Nuxie was great. Went out to visit Kim Nuxhall today. He has that driving range at the Joe Nuxhall Golf Center. I was in there, Tommy. Put the gloves on. I was driving the cart with Nuxie, picking up balls.
Where you were?
Yeah, I was It was awesome. I was waiting for a couple golfers to hit us, but they never did.
Well, it was mighty nice of you to go out there and see Kim. And Kim
great.
and his wife Bonnie.
Kim and his wife Bonnie. Bonnie was there.
They're still doing.
They're great people. Salt of the earth.
No doubt about it. No question about it.
Apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
No, they're all the great work they're continuing in Joe's name and helping so many kids around the entire tri-state area, especially up there in Butler County.
Getting ready to build a couple Miracle League fields for the special needs kids.
That's right. Of course, Aaron Harang was so instrumental in building the first one here in Cincinnati.
Yep, out in Springboro.
Yep.
And Brian Crotty built that.
And Kim had told me that you are raising money to build one in Pittsburgh, and you had a big fundraiser where you raised about $300,000.
Yeah, we just had a big fundraiser. Kim and Bonnie came down to Pittsburgh. We're building a field for special needs kids out in Pittsburgh, and it's been a great thing. And at that fundraiser, we raised almost $300,000. We had a bunch of the Pittsburgh Penguins came. Franco Harris stopped by. My buddy Jamie Denton, who was on Desperate Housewives, flew out from L.A. And it was a great event. It really was. A lot of people have helped us out. We've raised almost $700,000 of the $1 million we need to raise to build this field. So it's been a great thing, Tommy, and it's been nice to see how generous people are to help these kids out.
And until you go to one of those games at a Miracle League field, and you see those kids who are getting a chance to do something that they've prayed about, they've wanted to do, they wanted to get out there and do it just like other kids, and to have a chance to see one of those games, you will never forget it the rest of your life. It's
life-changing. Yeah. Those kids are so excited to be a part of a team, to get out there and play on that surface, be a part of a team. And the great thing about it is not only the special needs kids get to get out there and play, but every kid needs a buddy. So every kid needs a volunteer. So it gives all kids a chance to push a wheelchair, help a kid with cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, whatever the need is. So it's a wonderful field. It's way more than baseball. Baseball brings it all together like it does for so many different people.
This will be a double play to end the inning, and that's the way things end in a 2-run 8th. So the 9th inning coming up. Reds leading 12-4. Coors Light cold hard blast. Edgar Renteria, the most valuable player of the World Series last year, hit 2 home runs and knocked in 6. That last one in the clinching Game 5 in Texas snapped a scoreless tie with a 3-run home run off Cliff Lee.
I was at that game firsthand. I was doing some stuff with MLB Network, and talk about the ultimate pro, Edgar Renteria. I mean, this guy can flat out hit. A couple World Series titles, 2 MVPs, World Series MVPs under his belt. This guy is a special player, obviously towards the tail end of his career. But what a pickup! Walt Chalkley had this guy in St. Louis. I played against him all those years, and he's been a consistent, great shortstop for many years in this league.
Francisco Cordero, we talked about needing a little bit of work. Cordero, his only appearance so far in this young season is when he allowed a run but got a save on the second game of the year, started by Travis Wood. Quick turnaround tonight, Sean Casey. Everybody going to get back, get their bags packed up, get some shut-eye, and right back at them in the morning for a 12:35 game.
Yeah, this is one of those times where you got to go home tonight, get yourself packed up, ready to go. Get your suits ready or your ratty sport coat, whatever you need to get on that flight, and get ready to go in the morning for a travel day. This is this is the time when as a big league ball player, when you're having this night game, day game, come July, August, that's when you start to feel like you're grinding a little bit.
Fly ball short right, 1 out. Dan Patrick Show comes your way on Fox Sports Ohio, weekdays at 9 o'clock on Fox Sports Ohio. The Golden Bear will be on the... Oh, we understand it's his son. Not the real, the main band. I mean, nothing against his son, but I mean, Jack, I thought we had the man. Ohio State Buckeye, Jack Nicklaus. A lot of people out there know this, but there might be some that don't. I always find somebody from time to time that'll say, I never knew that. Jack Nicklaus went to Upper Arlington High School in Columbus, Ohio, just to the west of the university there. And, of course, the school's nickname, and has been forever and a day, the Upper Arlington Golden Bears. And that's actually where Jack Nicklaus got his nickname. Blonde hair, big, strong guy. Thus, the Golden Bear.
Well, you learn something new every day, Tommy. I just learned something new.
I'm sure that'll help get you through the day tomorrow.
Appreciate that, brother. Get you through the day tomorrow.
It'll help you on your drive back to Pittsburgh tomorrow, right? You can reflect on that a little bit.
I'm so excited. I'm going to go home tonight, look it up online.
2-2 to count. Angel Sanchez has had a good night at the plate, but in the field it's been rough.
He wants to put this game behind him. I mean, it felt like he did not want the ball hit to him after he had a couple mishaps. He didn't really want that ball hit to him. This is one of those games you just want to turn the page and get ready to go tomorrow.
Reds pitching in the first inning. Starter Edinson Volquez gave up 4 runs, 4 hits, and 3 walks. Ever since then, the Astros have been shut out on 3 hits. Their strike 3 call.
Just like we talked about, keep him in the game. Keep him in the game. Cordero right here does a nice little backdoor curveball right there. Paint outside black. For Sanchez, this is just the ending of a long night for him. That was a tough pitch right there. Nobody's hitting that pitch. That's just a tip your cap, hit the showers.
Hunter Pence now the batter. 0 for 3 with a walk. You rarely ever see a major league game like this, where one team will score 4 runs in the first inning and get shut out over the next 8 innings. You just don't see it very frequently, because obviously more times than not you're getting into long relief, some suspect middle relief on most teams in baseball, and that 4 turns into an 8, 9, or 10.
Well, I think what you got to look at too, Tommy, is that's how good Volquez's stuff is. He struggled at the beginning, bunch of walks, guys getting some hits on him, then he settles in and that stuff plays. So next 4 innings he shuts these guys down, then the bullpen takes over. So like we were saying earlier, keep these guys in the game, the Reds, and they'll put up a 12 spot for you.
Volquez in line to get the win. He gave up the 4 runs and 4 hits in the first inning. He did not give up another run, allowed only 1 hit over his final 4 frames. 2-1 to count on Hunter Pence. 3-1. Be the first win of the year for Edinson. He was taken off the hook for a loss on opening day with a 4-run.
Johnny Cueto.
Swinging a foul ball out of play at 4-run bottom of the 9th inning.
Did Marty get that?
I think it's over in the Astros radio booth. Somebody made a play over there.
The segment over there is signaling something.
Phillips throws out Hunter Pence. Spectacular pitching after that first inning. The quartet of Andrusic, Chapman, Bray, and Cordero go the final 4 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball. And for the first time since 1990, and only the 4th time since 1900, the Reds have started a year at 5-0.
Another impressive performance by that club.